Always glad to be on here, and I was already here engineering the broadcast, so I was like, might as well. Let me hop in and fill in.
And I heard you on my way over, and I got a full plan, and we'll still get to that plan. But sometimes, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, or everybody has a plan until they get in their car and they listen to the radio and they hear Junie just crapping on Ryan Tannehill. And this is just one aspect of the Titans fan base, or, some Titans fans, that I just can't get on board with. And look, I understand that there are two people that get way too much of the credit and way too much of the blame. That's the quarterback and the coach. So I get it. You're 2-3. You don't feel really great about where this team is at right now. You're going to put some of the blame on Ryan Tannehill. And Ryan Tannehill does deserve some of the blame. I mean, that New Orleans Saints loss, that's on him. He lost that game. He threw 3 interceptions. That was a winnable game. That was a low-scoring game. Ended up being a 1-point game. You turn over the ball one fewer time, you probably win that game. So I'm not going to dispute that in the slightest. But what else has Ryan Tannehill done?
For me, it's what he's not done. And I feel like for a quarterback, you have to make a certain amount of plays every single game to elevate the team around you. And this is something that we've known for a while, ever since the Cincinnati divisional loss. You have to be good around Ryan Tannehill. And what the Titans did this offseason, again, this is something that they can't control now. This is something that they should have. This is something that they should have done in the offseason, but it's now affecting them. They should have moved off. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was like the writing was on the wall.
Why should they have moved off?
Because the writing was on the wall. I mean, you lose 7 straight. Ryan Tannehill was a part of 4 of those losses. And again, a lot of people say, oh, well, he got injured at the tail end of last year. But again, 4 of those 7 losses at the end of the year, he was a part of as well. And when the team isn't good enough, I don't feel like Ryan Tannehill is good enough to be the quarterback. And for me,
which quarterback would be better?
Well, again, it's not about who's better. It's about setting yourself up in the future. And for me, I would rather see what I have with a younger player and maybe not be as good now than to settle for mediocrity and then be in the middle of the draft, maybe right outside of the playoffs, and you're like, well, why did we bring everybody back just to win 7 or 8 games? Like, for me, that's a waste of time. You've drafted quarterbacks in back-to-back years. Mm-hmm. They haven't gotten a ton of opportunities. We saw Malik Willis in a few games last year, but clearly he wasn't ready. He's made strides in improvement. I think Will Levis is much more pro-ready than Malik was last year. And, again, you traded up with the 33rd overall pick and took him. Mm-hmm. So, for me, I would like to see what they have in those young players rather than just ride this out with Tannehill and get 7 or 8 wins, be right outside of the playoffs, pick maybe 14th, 15th, or 16th in the draft, and just know what you're getting. Like, right now, we know what this Titans team is. They're going to be up and down all year long. There's going to be certain games where, wow, they look amazing, just like in the Cincinnati game. And then there's going to be other games like, what the hell just happened, like New Orleans, Cleveland, and the Indianapolis Colts. And it's going to be a roller coaster ride all year long. So instead of just keep going with what you know that you have, which is going to be a 7, 8, 9 win team, I would rather see what you have in the young guys and get them some exposure, get them some reps, because the other teams in your division are doing exactly that, and they're going to be picking somewhere on the top of the draft and going to get a key asset going in as those quarterbacks and those teams progress.
But here's my thing. My only frustration whenever there's comparison to the rest of the division, because that's a lot of times the defense is, well, Jacksonville got their quarterback of the future, and Houston got their quarterback of the future, and they're playing him, and Indianapolis is playing their quarterback of the future. Yeah, because Indianapolis has had 7 different quarterbacks in the last 7 years, because Houston was absolutely atrocious and really had their pick of the litter. Sorry, we're kind of crisscrossed here as I hand Willy his microphone. They're in different places. I do think that if Indianapolis had an incumbent starter that they felt comfortable in, like a Ryan Tannehill, who's not an elite quarterback in the slightest, he's a fine quarterback that can win you enough games. And I don't think Anthony Richardson would be starting. Like when Jim Irsay said, we want him to play, I'm thinking, you crazy old coot. Like, what do you mean throwing the young guy out there throughout the offseason, everyone's been talking about how he hasn't played enough football and he's not pro-ready yet? Now, we have seen that he looks pretty good. But I don't want the comparison to the rest of the division to dictate what the Tennessee Titans do, because the Tennessee Titans came into the season in a completely different perspective. Like, those teams are rebuilding. Those teams are focusing with the young players. Houston is trying to find a new offensive identity. Indianapolis wants to get their new Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, and into the fold, and the Shane Steichen system of offense. They are moving forward. That doesn't mean that the Titans have to move forward. The Titans made the decision to capitalize on this window that they are in. And you're 5 games in and you're 2-3. And the season's not over yet. And look, I get it. Ryan Tannehill, you'd love Ryan Tannehill to do more. That's not who he is. That's never who he has been.
So if that's
we had texters in the text line saying, well, Mahomes and Burrow can carry a team. Yeah, well, Ryan Tannehill's not Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow. And if anybody ever has mistaken Ryan Tannehill for Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, you might get, well, I want whatever you're having. That's not who he is. And I think that it's frustrating when I see Ryan Tannehill get the blame and people say, oh, well, it's Tannehill's fault, when Mike Vrabel told you we need to be great around Ryan Tannehill. And they are not great around Ryan Tannehill. Now, look, if you get to the end of the season and you're out of it, you're out of the division, you have a losing record, things feel bleak, things feel gray and dark. Look, that might be a realistic possibility that we're looking at. And you want to, kiss the season away and wave the white flag because you feel like you're in a position to do that, then fine, yeah, throw the young guys in there. But right now, I think the season is still very much so in your grasp. 2-3. And the season at least feels like it should get a little bit lighter in the second half. Traylon Burks gets healthy. Dear Tark gets healthy. I'm not willing to punt on something that's just not quite done yet.
I guess that's where we disagree, because, again, the whole division thing, that's just one aspect. I feel like that's more of like a cherry on top. It's not the end-all, be-all, because even if the Colts and Texans didn't have young quarterbacks that they were going to immediately, I would still feel the same way. For me, I'm somebody that says move off of guys a year early rather than a year late. I feel like this is the year late for the Titans. In 2021, they were the number 1 seed. Last year, when you saw the writing on the wall and you saw the team kind of fade into what they were, again, injuries had to do with that, but what did they do? They go out and they get replacement backups to kind of fill starting roles on the offensive line. It was patchwork. But that's the thing is, like, if you know you have to be great around Ryan Tannehill in order to have a good team, and you know you're not great around him, and he's not performing well. I mean, his stats right now, again, he's not to blame for the Titans. Problem. And I'm not saying Tannehill's a bad quarterback. I'm not. I'm just saying where the Titans are and where you need to be in order to get the most out of Tannehill, like we saw in 19, 20, and in 2021, even though he struggled a little bit that season. I just think that where he is in his career and where the Titans are as an organization are not matching up. And I think that it would be better for the Titans to move on towards the future a year earlier than a year late, and then kind of miss out on an opportunity to give some young guys some reps. That's all where I'm at.
I'm just coming in on this conversation.
Hey, Willy.
What did they put in this coffee? You guys are jacked up to start this show
today.
today.
I didn't even have any coffee yet.
Junie's coming in guns a-blazing, and we set off a string of fireworks here.
Well, welcome into the Ring of Fire.
The game doesn't even start till 7 o'clock here, but you're setting the mood. This is good. The intensity, the passion. I like it.
An Andrew Burnett style of play, if you will.
North and south.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting. So Junie is saying let's move forward onto the next era.
That's what you're saying. Not necessarily yet, but the conversation needs to be starting now. When you're already through 5 games and your quarterback has one of the lowest QBRs in the league, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, I go back and watch the All-22 multiple times on every single game. There are things that he is missing. There are opportunities that this team is missing out on. And I just, again, where Tannehill is, where the team is, I don't think it's matching up. Is it all Tannehill's fault? Absolutely not.
What do you mean by it's not matching up?
Because where he is with his age and his lack of ability to carry a team. Like you said, he's not a Mahomes. He's not a Burrow. And again,
not very many quarterbacks are.
And again, you're right. But I just think I would rather try and see what we have earlier on with the young guys if this season keeps going the way that it is. Right now, no. I'm not saying they need to bench him now in London. If it keeps going the next couple of weeks, that conversation needs to be had.
I think this is what you fight. I think each game that they lose, the conversation starts back up. And then we've been talking about the pendulum yesterday. Was kind of our – what do you call it? Our
visualization,
visualization on the radio. Yeah. So when they lost the first game, you're like, "Whoa, wow!" Like looking ahead, what does this mean? Because he had his worst game in that game. Comes back, strong game, win. Conversation stops. Then the Cleveland debacle happens. Like, well, if they keep going in this direction, then they swing back and play a great game against the Bengals. So this all quiets down with a win in London for sure. But with the bye week looming, that's what's really interesting about this game, because I think that conversation that Junie's bringing up will, I would have to say, take up some airtime for 2 weeks.
Absolutely, yeah.
If it doesn't go well, right? If it, like Derek said yesterday, if it's a dramatic game, goes down to the wire, like the last London game, it comes down to the last play, then maybe not.
Yeah.
Because Mike Vrabel is going to be the last guy that punts on the season. But I do think that noise will get louder, especially if Tannehill statistically isn't getting any better, because his stats are not good. You can't get around that. We talked about that yesterday.
Right, and one thing that we did talk about is let's look beyond the stats. You said 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. One of those interceptions came in garbage time against Indianapolis, and I didn't have any problem with it. It came in the last, couple seconds of the game. It was 3rd and 10. It was a desperation throw that got picked off in the last few seconds of the game. Yeah, that's fine. You didn't lose the game because Tannehill threw an interception in the last few seconds of the game. One of those interceptions came against the Cincinnati Bengals. You were up, 3-4 scores at that point?
It was 27-3. The game was over.
The game was over, and it was a bad throw. It was a bad interception. I don't know why he decided to throw that football, but it didn't change the direction of the game.
But I would contend that those
the Saints
two
were bad.
Right. And those he's taken care of the ball pretty well since the Saints game.
Yeah.
But those 2 throws alone don't explain all of the reasons why he's 27th, 28th, 30th in a lot of the key passing categories, the basic categories and the advanced categories. I mean, and there's, like you've been saying, there's plenty of other factors, the offensive line and everything like that. But the numbers are what they are, and when you can't ignore the numbers. I think that's a fair point by you.
And I also look at this, and I agree with you.
He needs to play better.
One of those the interception is especially against Indianapolis that you're talking about.
It's like just throw it out.
But you can also substitute, because you can constitute this as costing them the game. The throw that he should have made to Westbrook-Akine,
in the end zone.
he underthrew it, and it should have been picked off. It went right through the corner's hands.
Yeah.
That's a play that if that's a touchdown, we're completely changing the narrative about this Indianapolis game. He also missed another play that he was literally eyeing Chris Moore, and Chris Moore was all the way down the field.
He would have had an open lane to the end zone.
Could have easily hit him if he threw it right in front of him. Instead, he starts to take off. He gets the first down, of course, but then eventually they turn the ball over on downs and they don't score, when he could have gotten the touchdown if he would have just trusted what he's seeing. That's what I'm seeing on film. He doesn't trust his protection, and even when he does get good protection from this offensive line, he's not necessarily making the right reads and making the throws when he needs to make them.
And let's be fair. If he doesn't trust his protection, I don't blame him. I wouldn't trust that protection either.
Yeah.
I would not trust
that protection. He probably
that
wakes up in the
either.
middle of the night looking around, is it, for Myles
and
Garrett
a cold
or somebody.
Sweat. Yeah, right. Like I don't blame him in the slightest. And another aspect of that is make the switch, build for the future. This is something that Willie and I talked about yesterday too. It is so depressing to talk about April in October. Like it is so, like the thought of talking about the draft and, tanking and putting in a young quarterback so you can get a better draft pick in October. Like, that is truly disgusted and frustrated, because this is what you draft for. Like, these games, the games that you play is what you draft for. All the decisions that you make in February and March and April, the decision that the Titans made to run back with this core with Tannehill and Henry and Byard, those were decisions that they made in March so you can see it on the field in October. And if you want to make those decisions in November, late November and December when you're out of it, fine. Yeah, we can totally have that conversation. We are 5 weeks into a 17-game season. I can't talk about the draft yet. I physically cannot.
I guess it's not necessarily the draft pick is the important aspect of it. It's getting one of the, whether it's Willis or Levis, whoever they would decide to go to. I just think the reps for them and getting the experience. It doesn't matter. Take the draft pick out of it. Getting them the experience, knowing that you're moving off Tannehill now, will give you a leg up going into the following year and into the future. If these guys come in cold going into next year, I think that would help them.
My thing is, though, because I totally hear what you're saying, get experience when it doesn't matter, when, you could say we're going to wave the white flag anyway, so there's no pressure on you. Just go out there and get experience. Behind this offensive line, like, the idea of ruining a quarterback in year one, I think is real. Look at Baker Mayfield, for example. He got ruined in Cleveland, and maybe that's something to do with Cleveland and not necessarily playing year one. But I think the idea.
But he had a really good year in Cleveland where they beat the Steelers in the playoffs. So that's like the best Brown season in 30 years.
Yeah,
probably.
I would say.
I don't know if he's the best example, but there's tons of examples.
Tons of examples of quarterbacks
thrown to the wolves, not ready, and they never really catch up.
Well, and here's another conversation, and I like your point
but
about
Mayfield
this.
Is
with
still a mistake-prone guy.
Yeah.
That probably.
First overall pick who's now a backup
got
caliber
put right in
quarterback.
there, and that happens probably more often than not now. Where guys, if you're a first-round pick, you're expected to be in there the first year.
Yeah.
I
Especially
would say
a first
4 out of
overall
every
pick.
5, right, are put in there. If you're a high first-round pick, you're in there year one.
What has led to Titans' victory so far this year, and this is a point that you've been making the last couple of days when I've been tuning into your all show, is giving the ball to Derrick Henry. And I think that if you were to put a young quarterback in, they wouldn't put all the pressure and making the throws and making the reads that they would rely Ryan Tannehill on. I think that they would really lean on the running game, go back to their bread and butter, make sure that Henry's getting the volume he needs, because he is a volume back, and he gets better through the amount of carries that he gets throughout the rest of the game. I just think that with the way that this offense is set up, it could be good for a young quarterback knowing that they have a borderline Hall of Fame running back in the backfield behind them to really lean on and not force all that pressure on them to do that. That, again, it's a whole long conversation, but I at least think it should be thought about.
And my thought on that is, well, you can do that with Tannehill. You can hand the ball off to Henry on every single down with Tannehill.
Now you're opening up the whole topic of yesterday of how much is the right amount to hand the ball to Henry and where does Spears go in there. But you need a strong running game to support a young quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the whole thing with Tannehill. He needs a strong supporting cast to be successful. I think this next game is so important for small term outlook, long term, short term outlook, long term outlook. Because for 2 weeks you got to sit there with the result of the game. If they win this game, people are going to be really excited for 2 weeks. Hey, you got the Falcons coming in. If you can find a way to beat them, you're 4-3. That's about where you thought you would be. That's about where you hoped you would be. Because in theory, the easier part of the schedule is probably the back half of the schedule. Fair to say? In theory.
It felt like it felt a lot easier maybe a couple months ago than it does now.
Which always happens.
Right.
Which always happens.
Because you still got the
But you got all your division
schedule.
games. You have you control your destiny. If you can do well in your division, you will be in the division race.
Yes.
If you're sitting there at 4-3, but that's a big if, right? You flip it the other way. If you're 2-5, then the trade deadline's right there. You got to seriously be talking about a team that doesn't have 3 picks going into the next draft, and you're going into a new era whether you like it or not. With Derrick Henry a year older, Tannehill's probably gone, Byard maybe gone. Mm-hmm. That takes you. The pendulum goes completely the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, it does, and that's the tough thing about the trade deadline being so early, is you got to make some really tough decisions. And, when it comes down to it, I don't think Vrabel's going to want to make those tough decisions. I truly don't think that is in his DNA to say, you know what, we're 7 weeks in, I'm done. Yep, we got 10 weeks left to go, and I'm done.
And we made this point
doing that.
yesterday. Mm-hmm. Last year, when the Predators were sort of in that, hey, it's not going well, but they could still rally. You could still rally and make the playoffs. If John Hines were the GM or, in the more of the alignment that Mike Vrabel is with Rand Carthon, John Hines probably would have had the power to say, I believe in my guys. Let's keep it rolling. We'll make a late run. We'll get in. David Poile was in a position where he was the man and he could say from afar, okay, I know those guys are suffering in there. They want to keep winning. I'm pulling the plug. I'm doing the right thing for the long term. I like you said, Mike Vrabel, I think, will be very hesitant when he's in the trenches every day to sell, right? To see to go shopping guys around and trade key players that you could get a draft pick for.
And that's
a very different dynamic than the Predators were. That's why there's pluses and minuses in having the coach shop for the groceries, basically.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's the double-edged sword of having, the same cook in a couple different kitchens, is Mike Vrabel's making the tough decisions about the team while he also is making game plans week in and week out and knows the strengths and weaknesses of this team a little bit closer than a GM would be able to look at it.
And I love Rand Carthon. He's a young GM. He has been great, I think, in coming into a situation, inheriting a lot of people, building relationships. But it still has to be tough for a guy his age, at his stage of his career, first-time GM, with a veteran coach like Vrabel, as opposed to sort of a less proven coach in John Hines and a veteran GM like David Poyle, who is the winningest GM of all time, to make that decision that he knows what goes over like a lead balloon in the locker room if you choose to sell. So that dynamic is something to watch. Hopefully they win the next 2 games and everybody's excited.
Well, with the way it's going, they'll win the next game, and then they'll lose the next game.
If the pendulum keeps going in the rhythm that it's going, that's exactly what will happen.
The gravitational pull of the Tennessee Titans. And here's another thought, because you mentioned whether it's Malik Willis, whether it's Will Levis, I do wonder how much of and we can continue the conversation coming up next. I do wonder how much of a motivation of that decision is solely based on Will Levis. That Will Levis is the future of this organization. I believe, and I don't think that you trade up in the second round and draft a first-round graded quarterback just to be your backup or just to see what he's got. I think they view Will Levis as the future of this organization. So if Will Levis isn't ready, do you run it back with Tannehill and not really concern yourself with letting Malik Willis get more and more NFL experience if you don't view him as the future of this organization? But we'll continue the conversation coming up next, and of course your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025, live out here at Pete and Terry's at Bridgestone Arena. Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase is brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hi, this is Warren Moon, former quarterback for the Houston Oilers, 9-time Pro Bowler, and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When I played, I worked hard to train my body and practiced to make sure I was prepared on game day. That's what boosters do for your immune system and why I chose to get boosted. Preparation keeps you game ready. Talk to your doctor. Make sure you're up to date on all your shots and get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Find a shot near you by visiting vaccines.gov today.
It's electric in Smashville. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429 has a new path to a dignified career. Local 429 is accepting applications for the highest skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, your proud seventh man since the beginning. Go Preds.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
No problem, sweetie.
I can't believe you're able to fit everything in that little sedan.
Bye.
When they move out,
you can move on to a house that fits your life. It's time to live in a space that fits your family.
Let Regal Realty Group get you into a home that is less to take care of. Save money or even make money on the sale of your current home. Get more info at regalrg.com.
Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is happening at Genesis Diamonds. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex event featuring a stunning new selection of these hard-to-find watches. Hulks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest models that people wait years for. For this event, you can choose from 5 years financing or get a free pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond earrings valued at $5,000. Imagine a luxury pre-owned ladies Rolex Datejust for just $199 a month, or a Sea Dweller or Submariner for just $299 a month. No waiting list, no games. Just the watch you want at the great Genesis value price you deserve. Also for this event, our pre-owned Rolex buyers will be offering top dollar for your Rolex, so you can buy, sell, or trade. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state. Get the timepiece of your dreams and take advantage of our special financing. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st only, and only at Genesis Diamonds. Your home for luxury pre-owned Rolex. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit while supplies last. See store for details.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Georgia from First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Coverage starts at 9:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Penny Hardaway, University of Memphis coach. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Hey, tune into 102.5 and 106.3 The Game this Saturday for our college football game of the week, presented by Twin Peaks as Vanderbilt takes on Georgia at 11 a.m. with pregame beginning at 9:30 a.m. How are you feeling about that one, Willy?
I'll be in Boston.
It's all about the memories we make along the way.
That's right, Caroline.
That is correct. Yeah. Enjoy Boston.
Big game against the Bruins.
Get you some clam chowder while you're up there, Willy.
Oh, I'm all over that. Believe me. I am not missing out on that opportunity. But, yeah, I was at the game the last time Georgia came rolling through here 2 years ago, and I think it was 28-0 at the end of the first quarter.
Okay, all right. Well, take your tailgate to Twin Peaks for scenic views of all the hottest college football games across the country and home of the 29-degree beer. It is already pretty red on West End.
Yeah, they're gonna come in. There's no question about it. But I'm hoping that they keep fighting. The young group for Clark Lee's team, that's the key, I think, from here on out. You've got a good group of freshmen, sophomores that are taking their lumps right now.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what you were saying, Junie, about the young quarterbacks, right? Sometimes if you can get through the fire, you're quicker equipped to have success. But the important thing is you hold together and not crash and burn, like you were saying some of the young rookie quarterbacks in the NFL have done. You get shell shock and you're never the same.
Like we talked about that.
That's critical for these groups at Vanderbilt. Because
absolutely.
Clark Lee did not, like that first team, that game against Georgia, it was his first year. You talk about going into a fight with plastic knives and plastic forks against a team that has a full-on arsenal. That's what it was. So let's hope the gap is a little better on Saturday, but still, they got a long way to go. No
we'll see who takes the doors and Zilly on our picks today. Anybody wants to take a big swing?
Not sure that's going to happen.
We're breaking down the conversation. So I was driving to Bridgestone Arena. We're here, Pete and Terry's at Bridgestone Arena for Predators opening day. And I heard Junie on the radio with Chase and Big Joe. Move on from Tannehill. It is time for the new era of quarterbacks. And you are not alone in thinking that, Junie, because Willie and I had this conversation yesterday. And whatever the Titans decide to do, if you lose this game in Baltimore and you don't feel really good about it, and you decide to, sell at the trade deadline, I would be willing to place my non-existent house on the Titans not moving off of Tannehill or Henry or Byard at the trade deadline. But that's their prerogative, that's their decision, that's their projection of this football team. But when it comes to the fans, I felt like, when you look at the blame pie, I felt like the fans were giving an unfair chunk of the blame pie to Ryan Tannehill. And like I said, coaches, quarterbacks always get way too much of the credit and get way too much of the blame. And you make a very fair point, like the throw to Nick Westbrook-Akine in the end zone in Indianapolis. You make that throw, that's a very different game. And, some missed opportunities. Whether it was the Saints game, a lot of missed opportunities in the Saints game. But overall, when I look at this season, at 2-3, I can't say, well, that's Ryan Tannehill's fault. Because I feel like Ryan Tannehill is doing everything that he can possibly do. That we just all have to understand. Like, Ryan Tannehill has very obvious limitations. Ryan Tannehill is not an elite quarterback. Ryan Tannehill is what he is in the mucky middle of quarterbacks that can win you enough games but are probably going to lose you some games too. The quarterbacks that if you put elite pieces around him, it's probably going to be a pretty damn good team. That if you put backup offensive linemen in front of him, then you're probably not going to be very good. So when it just comes to the blame and when it comes to explaining and breaking down the reason as to why this team, the offense has struggled so much, why they've only scored 2 touchdowns actually one touchdown on the road. 1 touchdown on the road. Of course, Ryan Tannehill has some sort of culpability in that. But against the Colts, yeah, you had some missed throws, but I thought, between the 20s at least, he was moving the ball to DeAndre Hopkins pretty well. He was fitting the ball in some pretty tight spaces. Chigakonkwo needs to hold on to the football. But I thought for the most part, the passing game looked better than the run game. And when I look at the Colts game, I have to say, well, that's on the defensive line for not stopping the Indianapolis Colts run game. And I have to say that that's on, the run game not getting going. In Cleveland, I can't put that on Ryan Tannehill. Myles Garrett was headhunting.
But I think you have to raise the bar for your quarterback. Like, you can't just say, well, everybody's got to play great, and Tannehill's just going to be below average, and you got to lift him up. Like, Tannehill has something to do. He can elevate some. Like, he can't beat Patrick Mahomes, like we were saying, but he can elevate. He can play better than he's playing. I think that's where the happy meet in with you guys. That's what I'm seeing. That's what the stats are showing here. Like, he doesn't have to be Superman. And he
can't be Superman.
And they are this roster is not. This roster is a middle class roster. It is not a loaded roster. So he's going to have to play a little bit above his head if they're going to make the playoffs, especially the way these other teams are playing in the division.
You're going to need a couple of games where Ryan Tannehill plays above his average,
okay,
above
so
his mean.
Like, we know he can't play like he did against the Saints. We get that. We know he's probably not always going to play as sharp as he did against the Chargers and the Bengals. So that's kind of what he needs to play like that more often than he doesn't. Last week, I see what you're saying. He looked good at times. He completed a good percentage. He made good decisions, but they end up with 16 points. He's got to be better than that. There's got to be more that he can do. Him and everybody else, right? We're singling him out because we're just talking about the quarterback, and that's just how the business works, right? The quarterback gets way too much of the attention, but they had 16 points. You got to get the ball in the end zone. 1 or 2 plays in that game could change that game if he makes 1 or 2 more plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a field goal turns into a touchdown or, something like that.
The 3rd and 6, 4th and 1, like the Tajay Spears run and the Derrick Henry run in the red zone. That goes differently. It's a different game. He hits Nick Westbrook-Ikine in the end zone. That's a different game.
And this line is going to be the line. He is going to play behind this line the whole year. So we can't just keep saying, well, the line's terrible. Well, then they're going to end up a very mediocre team unless somebody steps up and plays better and overcomes the weakness of the team, right?
That's where Nicholas Petit-Frere comes in.
You think Superman's going to save him? He's not going to make that much of a difference.
No, he is not Superman. I will tell you that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's.
Can he play better than Andre Dillard? Is my question. And I
think if he does, it's going to be a little bit better, not much better. He's never played over there before.
He played in college. He played left tackle in college.
In the NFL.
Yeah.
There's a reason he didn't start at left tackle last year when Taylor Lewan went down, right? They could have put him over there. They put Dennis Daly over there.
Yeah, and Dennis Daly was awful.
So I'm saying, like, let's say they do that. Maybe he'll be better. Maybe. It's not a guarantee that he will play better than Tim Dillard will play Andre Dillard will play week in and week out. But if he does, what's the real difference? It's not going to suddenly become a good offensive line, I don't think.
Oh, no. I mean, this offensive line is horrendous.
This is my point. This is the offensive line that you have to deal with. He's got to help them. So everybody else is going to have to lift that group up.
Let's get into some of your thoughts on this. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our number if you have a thought. But one texter texts in, says, I feel bad for Junie. He knows what's up, and everybody else is being stupid and playing dumb. Trade all you can before the deadline, and the Titans are effed. All right.
What does he mean by effed? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I was about to say, Willie, come on.
Look. I don't think they're going to do that. And I also think that we're maybe And look, fans always have a tendency to do that. When things go great, it's, we're the best team in the world. When things go wrong, it's we're the worst team in the world. Fire everyone, trade everyone, move on from everything, start everything over. I understand the sentiment. But trading at the deadline, what does that do for you? Like you trade Tannehill. Okay, does Malik Willis come in? Let's say you trade Derrick Henry. Then you're just going to be horrible. And is that what Titans fans want?
Is that the fastest way back to getting to the top of the league? It might be.
Staying in the middle and getting middle draft picks and staying 7, 8, 9 wins, that's going to keep you stagnant. And
this is all hypothetical, depending on how they do the next 2 games. But this is going to be the question.
Well, they could have said the same thing about the Preds last year. And what happened? You saw a lot of spurt from the young guys. You saw a lot of potential, and I feel like that has carried over into what we saw in their opener against the Lightning. A couple days ago.
We're gonna find out about the young players over time here, but that is the decision they made. That was the faster route back to where they want to be, and that's a championship contender. They felt like the group that they had, even though if they had stood pat and not sold, maybe they could have snuck into the playoffs. Maybe it wasn't likely, but it was still possible. It was enough time, but they decided that wasn't going to be good enough, and so they made a very tough decision, in my opinion, especially if you're David Poile. He was on his way out. He knew he was on his way out. Last year, he could have sold the farm down the road and said, the next guy can worry about that. But what he did the opposite. He set the table for Barry Trotz to be able to build with a young group of prospects. It's not as easy to do that in football, and that's been Mike Vrabel's case that he's made, that you can't really rebuild in this league. It's hard to tank in that league.
Yeah.
People do. They try. The Cardinals are trying it right now. I mean, there's going to be other teams that do it, and you don't have to necessarily take it all the way down. The Predators aren't taking it all the way down, but there's some retooling when you know the numbers are not in your favor, and you need to get more throws at the dartboard with more picks.
And I think it's really easy to say, be bad, pick at the top of the draft, and then you're going to be good again. It doesn't happen like that. It takes a lot. I mean, the Chicago Bears have been really bad for a really long time, and they are still really bad after picking at the top of the draft and collecting a bunch of picks year over year over year. They thought that they got their guy in Justin Fields and picking him in the middle of the draft, and then now they want to run him out of there. So there is absolutely zero guarantee. So when you're saying, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying just anyone in general, or texters and callers and listeners, of be bad, get a better draft pick, and then get that one guy that's going to change your franchise for the future. Well, how do you know you're going to get that? Well, not you were just bad.
I don't think you're trying to lose. I think you're basically saying,
if you trade at the trade deadline, you are trying to lose.
You're getting more picks. That's what I would be interested in getting, is seeing if I could get a few extra picks. That's the only way to get better in this league, is to get more draft picks.
I guess my synopsis in all of this is, for me, I'm seeing the writing on the wall. It's been up and down so far early in this season. In the offseason, I thought that this was going to be the team that we saw. And, again, things can change. Mm-hmm. But for me, in the last 12 games, the Titans have 2 wins. And for me, I think Titans fans deserve a little bit better than that. And I think that your expectations for where this franchise has been compared to where they were, about 10 years ago when they were struggling and trying to get out of that, I feel like it is now time to kind of move on. And I think that staying stagnant is only going to keep you in this area. And I think moving on and seeing what you have and what you've tried to build for the future, I believe we're approaching that time. And again, to your point, you said there's so many other people. There are a ton of players on this team that you can put blame before Ryan Tannehill. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is the main issue, and I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But he's also not the solution, and he's playing the most important position on the team. If Tannehill was in the NFC, I feel like he could lead a team to the playoffs. But we're talking about a jam-packed AFC, and when you're as inconsistent as this with the entire roster, not just Tannehill, I just think it's going to burn the Titans in the end instead of preparing yourself for that next generation of the team.
Let's bring up something else that came up a lot last year with the Predators. The Predator fans, basically, I would say there was a large portion, not everybody, Because I was the one always saying, hey, look, let's not take for granted making the playoffs 7 straight years. Very few teams, very few franchises have done that. But you hear the pushback from the fans was I don't like seeing just get into the playoffs and be a big underdog and not be able to make noise in the playoffs. They had seen those days, they were moving in the wrong direction there. They were still making the playoffs, but they were an underdog. Mm-hmm. They had some unfortunate, Saros not being able to play. That hurt their chances as an underdog. But the point is, I see this Titans team as the ceiling of you get in as a wild card or a 9-8, 10-7 division winner. Maybe you win the first game and then you get whipped by a very deep AFC, or you're a big underdog, right? Maybe you pull an upset, maybe, but that's hard to do. And if that's the ceiling, is that good enough? Is that really, because then you got to retool anyway, because the next year you're going to have a new quarterback. You're going to have probably Derrick Henry moving on, or a different stage of his career. He's going to be a year older. So
I think that's good enough.
I think a playoff win would be good enough, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
I am okay with that.
Yesterday.
But
for sure.
But there's a huge faction of people who are saying, well, if you don't win the Super Bowl, forget about it. Who cares?
That's ridiculous.
That is completely unrealistic.
But it wasn't ridiculous when I would make that argument. Hey, the Predators have made the playoffs 7 straight. I don't care. I want playoff success. You heard that? Am I wrong?
I think for the Preds, they hadn't won a playoff series in a while, and I think that if they had seen a playoff series win in the last couple of years, I think the narrative would have been different.
Okay.
So that's for me.
Fair.
If the Titans were to make the play,
let's say they make the playoffs, the Titans, and lose the wild card game.
Then I don't think that's good enough. I think that playoff win right there, that's what they're teetering on. Making the playoffs, barely sneaking in because you won a poor division, and you're in just because of that, and you get routed by a Miami or a Buffalo or whoever they get matched up in, because it's going to be a mismatch either way, because this conference is so loaded.
With an aging team that is kind of on the last hurrah of this nucleus, right? That's different than the Eagles a couple years ago that snuck into the playoffs. Jalen Hurts was just trying to figure it out, and they got beat by Tom Brady. But you're like, hey, wait a minute. The Eagles actually got something going on here. Yeah,
because
they were moving on the upward.
Because if you remember, I mean, the Buccaneers had just come off the Super Bowl win, and everybody was like, oh, the Eagles are going to get routed. They barely got in, 9-win team, and they were highly competitive. So it was a completely different narrative.
And then you have the other side of things when you have Mac Jones as a rookie making playoffs, and it's only gone downhill from there.
That is true.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Max Hers will join us coming up next, previewing the Predators' home opener tonight. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going.
Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman & Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Man, listen up. I need to talk to you about something. And that something is Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife Daphne, along with that experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They are there to connect you with the medical care you're required to have a healthy and enriched life. So there's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. Man, what are you waiting for? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Here's the number, 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458, or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just west of Nashville in the tranquil setting of Kingston Springs Ranchettes neighborhood, 1617 Wildlife Trail offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty, all for under $450,000. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
Teddy's Tavern, downtown's newest bar with an old Nashville feel, is conveniently located across the street from Bridgestone Arena and just blocks away from the pedestrian bridge. Get a taste of the new brunch menu to fuel your Titans Day pride on game day. Pre-game specials from 9 a.m. till kickoff when the Titans play at home include 2-for-1 draft beers, mimosas, and Bloody Marys. Teddy's Tavern is where you want to be before every Titans home game, so come downtown early and meet me at Teddy's.
Fall is the time for family, friends, and unforgettable moments. Lee Company wants you to savor every second. While you enjoy this time with your family, our professional technicians can handle everything else, from gutter cleaning to pressure washing to painting to new gas log installations. We've been serving homeowners in this area for almost 80 years. Visit leecompany.com to learn more. That's leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need.
Hustle up, we've got 8 more floors to go before lunch.
Sarusha's window washing business is reaching new heights.
Wipe, and let's roll.
They need more certified cleaners to keep online reviews crystal clear.
Team, I know we're hustling, but watch for streaks. Candace, can you give me a hand over here?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Get the one and done you want for your dog's monthly protection. New NexGard Plus, Afoxolon or Moxidectin and Pyrantel chewable tablets. Protects against fleas, ticks, heartworm disease, roundworms, and hookworms. All in one delicious, beef-flavored soft chew. Use with caution in dogs with a history of seizures or neurologic disorders. Dogs should be tested for existing heartworm infection prior to starting a preventive. Ask your vet about new NexGard Plus chews.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one.
It's absurd. Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
But you shortened that runway after that first. Then the second, the guys kind of responded. And even in the third one, the guys got behind again, you came back.
No, I felt good about our game. Just against this team, we talked about it coming in and talked about it continuously. You can't get in penalty trouble. I mean, they gain all their momentum, their power plays, elite. I've seen this record played too many times in this building with the penalties in the third period and changing the course of the game. So it's a little bit of a learning experience, but overall, I thought we played pretty well.
All right, there you go. That was Predators head coach Andrew Brunette post-game after game 1 of the season in Tampa. We're live out here at Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena ahead of the Predators home opener tonight against the Seattle Kraken. And joining us now is Max Hers.
Hello.
Hey, Max. Always appreciate you. When I was watching that game on Tuesday night, after the first period, I thought, oh, boy, this is going to be a long night. Is this going to be a long season? But came back in the second and third periods, showed a lot of fight. What did you learn about that team in that transition from slow start to strong finish?
It's not a surprise necessarily that it happened that way with how the Predators are built right now with the inexperience, the new coach, new style of play at even strength. So it wasn't shocking, but Willie and I were down there with the broadcast crew, and Andrew Brunette just told us this morning after watching film, the first period really wasn't as bad as he thought it was watching it live.
Defensively.
Yeah.
Defensively.
In the D zone, they were good. They were in the D zone way too much.
That's the problem.
But in the D zone, they were good.
You had enough of the sample size defensively.
But then, starting right at the midpoint of the second period, through the first couple minutes of the third, before the Lightning tied the game at 2-2, Kraken is who we're tonight.
Yes.
There was a stretch where the Preds had 15 shots in a row and did not give up a shot on goal. It was a dominant stretch where they tied the game towards the end of the second. Parsonen scored the goal on the first shift of the third. They had 2 good power plays in the second period that helped establish that momentum and start it. So they had some really good stretches in that game. First period, not so good possession-wise. Second period, very good. Third period, a wash. because you gave up 2 power play goals, a penalty shot goal, and an empty net goal, but you didn't give up a 5-on-5 goal after the first 10 minutes of the game.
Max Hurst is with us. Ryan O'Reilly, Stanley Cup winning player, one of those players across the league that everybody looks up to. Philip Forsberg, cornerstone at this franchise, a core player with the Predators. And then young gun Juuso Parssinen. It's a funny little trio on the top line. How do you feel Juuso Parssinen has held his own against 2 veteran players in O'Reilly and Forsberg?
I'd like to talk to Ryan O'Reilly about this sometime once Parssinen has really given more sample size on that top line, where he's going to stay, by the way, because he's really, really good at every aspect of the game at the NHL level. And I just don't want anybody to forget that, because he was injured for a while last year, came back, scored that great goal. When that goal happened, I was just like, I hope nobody forgot how good Parssinen is. He does everything so well. But it's great that he's playing with O'Reilly, because O'Reilly's got a Selke trophy for best defensive forward. And I think Parssinen's going to be a candidate for that award over what is hopefully a long NHL career. So, and being on the wing, I thought set him up for some good stuff on Tuesday and in the preseason, because it allows him to forecheck more, which he's really good at. It allows him to go into the corners more, and it allows him to jump plays in certain spots like he did on his goal right off the opening faceoff of the third period on Tuesday. He started the chaos that led to the eventual turnover that O'Reilly helped with. Forsberg with the beautiful pass, Parssinen with the beautiful move in front, and a great goal for the undisputed Preds top line.
It's interesting, Max, tonight is the next test. You could tell it with Andrew Brunette, the way he faced the media today, that he knows that it's a big picture kind of season. You want to see where everybody stands at the end of the year, but you've got 5 games early on against heavyweights, and the Kraken are probably maybe the least scary team on paper, but this is a really good Kraken team that beat the Avalanche in the playoffs last year, and here they come with largely the same group tonight. So you've got 5 tough games to start, and I know he's probably a little antsy. You'd love to be able to win a few games here, build confidence and stuff. All that to say, it'll be an interesting test tonight, because you don't want to sink further down in the standings to where at the end of the first month you're saying, man, we got an uphill climb here.
Yeah, and only about half the NHL has played a game so far. These are 2 of the teams that opened on Tuesday, and they're both 0-1. So these are 2 teams that really need a win. Predators because they have a new coach, Kraken because their expectations are really up after the playoff round win last year. So it's an interesting spot for 2 teams that are 0-1, and I think the Predators certainly do have the advantage in some areas, especially goaltending, and I think you could argue on defense as well. But the Kraken can move, and you're talking about what Brunette said about the Kraken, Willie. He told Chris Mason today, I love this comment, the game that Brunette was a coach in last year when he was the associate head coach for the Devils Kraken game last year was the fastest NHL game he has ever seen.
Yeah, and they have 4 lines that are stacked with players that are probably – there's not a superstar among them. But they have 4 lines that can all do some damage. They all play together very, very well. They have a very good structure. Dave Haxtell, who was completely run out of Philadelphia, was surprisingly, I think, named the Kraken's head coach. And then they didn't do well the first year, and people were like, is this really the guy? It's kind of like Barry Trotz early. Well, the expansion coach, he'll be that one guy, and then they'll get the next guy. But he's now established himself as a very good coach. And I think if you go back to the game last year, their structure really hurt that young Predators group. So I think this is a test of the new system for Andrew Brunette to see if they can stay connected.
Yeah, and like you said, they have balance. So the Preds are not going to be able to take any shifts off. I'm curious just kind of what ice time distribution looks like, if they're trying to maybe move some wingers around on lines to try and get certain offense-defense matchups. And that's the great part about being at home. You get a chance to match if you want to. So we'll see what that looks like tonight, and it'll hopefully give the Predators a face-off advantage and therefore a possession advantage as well that they were not able to get on Tuesday.
Andrew Brunette was on with the morning show today, guys, and he was still talking about there's still some players still collectively as a group. They're trying to iron out the new system. It stands to reason. It's the second game that he's coached. But one guy that did not have a great game, uncharacteristically, against Tampa was Roman Josi. And so I remember something that Barry Trotz told us in the training camp. This is before they ever even played a preseason game. He said Roman Josi is a guy that loves to carry the puck. And the analytics, when we would make the case here of why he is the best and was, is deserving of the Norris Trophy. Part of the stats that we looked at was his zone entries, his zone exits, carrying the puck out of the defensive zone, skating past people, skating into the offensive zone. But this system is predicated more on passing the puck up the ice and then trailing in. So it's an adjustment for Roman Josi. And so I'm hoping he adapts quickly. He's a really coachable player. We know what kind of person he is, how badly he wants to win. But that's something to look for here. I think if he can steadily get better and more comfortable in this system.
Yeah, and I think once the system clicks, too, it will open him up for a lot more in separate areas.
Yes.
Which will be dashing into the play without the puck as the forwards bring it across the offensive blue line and then getting a shot off the wing or even cutting into the slot for one-timers.
There were times last year where nothing was happening.
Yeah.
Forwards weren't doing anything, and he was basically like, okay, I'm just going to take the puck
I'll
and
do it.
make this stuff happen.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
And he was capable of doing it. He's led this team in scoring for 4 straight years.
Yeah.
But for them to grow, it's kind of like the Derrick Henry thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't rely too much on one guy if you want to grow as a group, especially with some of these forwards that they think have something to bring to the table. So that's the transition that's going on, kind of like with Spears and Henry, the balance of how you try to work and get the most out of guys.
Luke Shen even mentioned that when we sat down with him at training camp. He said it's getting Roman Josi out of that habit. Like, you can share it. You can pass it around. It doesn't always have to be on your shoulders. Max Hers, always appreciate you. Where can the people find your fabulous Predators coverage tonight?
On the radio station you're listening to right now. I don't know if you guys have talked about this yet.
No, we need to say that. I'm glad you brought that up because we want to give a shout-out to Pete Weber, who did the opening game, 25th anniversary of the team, but has come under the weather, so he is out of the mix for the next few days. So Max will be calling the game tonight, sliding in, but we want to wish Pete well because he's home.
Pete will be back late next week, hopefully.
Yes, and he has never missed a home opener before, so I know it's killing him to be back home and not able to come in there. So shout out to Pete, but Max will do it, and then Chase will slide in the suit, the ever-ready utility man will slide in and do the pregame coverage, which starts at 6, correct?
Yes.
6 o'clock.
It starts at 6 o'clock.
Why are you not confident in that,
Well,
Willy?
it's open.
You also work here.
We have an extra 30 minutes on our show. I was just making sure that you guys didn't have anything.
The pregame show actually starts right now. You guys have 1 more minute in your show.
Max Hers slides in for the call, and now all of a sudden he's just, diva to everybody.
Yeah, throwing daggers and digs.
Louise.
The game is at 7.
Oh, my goodness.
The pregame show is at 6.
Well, thank you for the clarification on that. And we're wishing a speedy recovery to Pete Weber. Have a good
Love
call
you, Petey.
tonight. Max, appreciate
Thanks,
you
guys.
as always. Thanks, Max. All right, coming up next, let's pick some underdogs. It will be silly underdog picks here. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue is your home for hockey action all season long. They are Predators approved and all the games are on, and they'll even give you the sound. Get awesome game day drink specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey Beer. When you think hockey, think Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, or Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue. Go Preds!
Seriously, it's the same commercial every time.
All right.
Okay? There's 4 major points that we need to make.
Yes, sir.
Good customer service.
All right.
Good quality vehicles.
Check. Got it.
We've been in business since 1987.
87, right.
And we can finance anyone on any car.
Wow. A fiddle player? Any car? How's this? Franklin Motors. The choice is clear. Franklin Motors.
Your ride is here.
FranklinMotorsTN.com or come on by for a test drive.
Penalty Box Radio Live is back. Join Alex Doherty and Sean Smith every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. for a full hour of local hockey talk, full analysis of the Nashville Predators. Honest hockey talk like you've come to expect from the Penalty Box Radio brand over the years. Penalty Box Radio is back home on 102.5 The Game for the 2023-2024 hockey season. For more, check them out at penaltyboxradio.com.
The Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce invites you to join us for a sneak peek at the latest artificial intelligence and machine learning advancements at Annual Celebration 2023. Collaboration in the Age of AI, presented by PNC Bank and Tanger Outlets at Renaissance Hotel Nashville from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. Tuesday, October 24th. Network, participate in interactive demonstrations, and hear thought-provoking discussion about the future of work in the Nashville region with speakers like Sam Davidson, Dr. Robbie Melton, Brad Smith, and more. Don't miss this event. Get tickets now at celebrate.nashvillechamber.com. October 28th is Drug Take-Back Day. STARS, Nashville's regional overdose prevention specialists, have partnered with several local businesses to provide the community with a fun event for a good cause. Join us October 28th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Heartland Park, 3101 Heartland Drive, Nashville. We'll have teams available to collect your unused or expired medications for safe disposal. You'll be entered to win prizes. Plus, we'll have special treats for anyone in costume. This project is funded under a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier with your Game Center update. Yesterday on the Chase and Big Joe show, MTSU head football coach Rick Stockstill joined the show and shared his thoughts about his team's win.
I respect this team so much because they go out there and lay it on the line every day in practice and these games. I'm just really, really happy for them because nobody outside this building knows the sacrifices, that they're having to make to play these games, in 4.5 days.
Tune in tonight as the Nashville Predators host the Seattle Kraken in their home opener. The Preds look to get their first win of the season. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m., and you can listen to the game right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 1063.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board. Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado. There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, we're live out here at Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena ahead of the Predators' home opener against the Seattle Kraken tonight. Puck drop at 7 o'clock. All of your pregame coverage starting here on 102.5 The Game at 6 p.m. I will send it over to our commissioner of Silly Underdog Picks, Willy D.
I'm waiting. Cue the song. Oh, yes, there we go. Come on, it's opening night. It's Nashville. We got to play the theme song.
There's a lot of sass happening on the show today.
Listen. Max is the one that loves this song more than anybody. Like, he knows the lyrics to this song, like all of the lyrics. He can sing.
Are there more lyrics than
Willy? Oh, yeah, it keeps going. Yeah.
Okay.
There is a movie. This is really the story behind the song. It's my brother found this song and sent it to me. It's from a very obscure early 70s movie called about a drug dealer. His name was Willy Dynamite, and so this is the theme song. So that's the story behind the stories. But welcome into Silly Underdog Picks 2023, brought to you by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. This is Willy Donick, not Willy Dynamite.
The drug dealer.
The drug dealer. Yeah. I am the commissioner, and I am glad, and the two are not the same. But I am ready to present another week of action here. Let's first start with our online contest where we give away weekly prizes. You can play along, and you pick 3 games a week. The most popular picks last week, by far the most popular pick, was Kentucky. Oof. An underdog against Georgia, and whoops, that didn't go very well for those that backed the Cats. 30% of the audience went down with the ship on that one, and it was over early. 17% of the audience took Arkansas against Ole Miss. That one didn't work a whole lot better. And let's see. The third and final one was Missouri against LSU, another one that the panel selected. We'll get to that in a moment.
Too bad.
And
so sad.
Somebody in here on our panel today was at that game.
Yes, I was.
Yes.
It was the
Very
most
hairy.
stressful game that I've had in a week.
In 1 week,
In
yes.
1 week.
It went kind of down to the wire. The final was 49-39.
That
but
was not how it went.
It was closer than that. That is for sure. But so all three of the most popular picks were not successful this week. But that did not stop Roger Cawthorn from winning, and he is the one that will win the prize with 27 points. So congratulations to him. Good job, Roger, and we'll play again this week. So now let's welcome in the panel. They're with us. Now, Derek Mason is on a flight right now to London. So he has left his picks with young Nick Frazier. So he will not be on the air to gloat. So you guys will get to talk a little more as we bring you in here. Let's start with Kelly Holcomb. Kelly's on the air. So, Kelly, your thoughts, first of all, with not having the leader in the competition, Derek Mason, here to talk about the fact that he's winning this contest.
It doesn't matter to me whatsoever. Who cares? I'm glad he's gone.
Somehow I thought you would say that. Now let's bring in Chris Sanders, who is still winless in the competition, the defending champion. Chris, what's your attitude today? Is it better than Kelly's at least?
No, it's even worse. This is Dwayne. Chris has left the competition. Dwayne's back in town. So if you want to know how Dwayne's doing, just ask him.
Okay, but Dwayne will not be taunted by Derek today because Derek is not here. How do you feel about that?
Shut up.
Okay. Last but not least, let's bring in George Plaster. Actually, not. Where is Chase? I guess Chase was here in the building before. Is the suit is on the phone? He's probably still in the. He is probably in the bowels of Smashville right now as we speak. But let's bring in George Plaster.
And the bowels of this competition as well.
The bowels?
He is.
Yeah.
He is. Plaz, what's going on?
Willie, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Last week you declared that you would not be rooting for Derek anymore. That 30 years ago you rooted for him, but the taunting was just quite enough, and you've turned on him.
Well, I think the only person right now displaying less sportsmanship is Bryce Harper.
I got to admit, I don't like Bryce Harper at all, but that was pretty badass right there.
Yeah,
I
thought that was awesome.
Willie, I don't have any problem with him going after Arcia, but the throat slash is completely out of line. And I hope Major League Baseball, gives him a little less in the wallet.
Now, I didn't see the throat slash. I saw the stare as he was running around the bases. I thought that was
throat slash when he crossed home plate for both home runs last night.
Oh, okay. I do not approve of that. All right, now let's find out where Chase is.
I do not approve of that.
Yeah, I'm sure you did not approve of that, George. You being carrying the Braves flag. How do you feel about it tonight? By the way, we'll get Chase in on this too. Another resident Braves fan here, but I still feel all right about the Braves. You got your two best pitchers going here.
Yeah, they have a decided pitching advantage tonight. They got to score early and help Strider a little bit. He'll pitch fine. If it gets to a Game 5, Max Fried's a baller. He'll pitch fine. They got to score some runs.
All right, now let's find out where Chase is. We're here at Bridgestone Arena. The Predators open tonight. Chase is getting everything ready. He's got the pregame show tonight. Chase, where are you?
I am almost to my house.
What? We have underdog picks here. You were just here. This is a very important competition. You're trying to big time us or something? What's the deal?
No. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I kind of forgot, and I left right as we were about to declare an underdog.
Such a shame.
You can't forget about the underdog. This is the most important thing you're going to do all day, Chase. You need to catch Derek.
I am ashamed. I really am. But you know what? I'm here by phone, and I'm with George. I'm still upset after last night's performance. Bryce Harper can go jump in a river for all I care.
Goodness.
You Braves fans.
No,
I'm playing the world's tiniest violin for you.
I never liked Bryce Harper. He can go get his deer antler spray. He's dumber than a box of rocks. Like, whatever.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Throwing shade. All right. Chase, we expect this to never happen again. I know you're my boss, but I am the commissioner of this competition. You are to be here in person next week if we have a home game on Thursday, you are to be here in person. You got that?
Yeah, Willy's not mad. He's
I
just
will
pissed.
stay. I will. I will stay next week. That is
okay.
that is
Very good.
true.
Very good. All right, moving on. Let's get to the recap of Week 6. It was not pretty for most. Derek Mason came into the competition up 46 to 7.5 to 3.5 to 0-0-0. That was the standings in a nutshell. Chris Sanders picked first, trying to get back at it. He's so desperate to get back in the competition. He picked against his alma mater. Maryland was a 20-point dog at Ohio State in the horseshoe, where Chris Sanders used to romp, score touchdowns, run up and down the field, wave at the Buckeye fans. He would dot the I with the band at halftime, and he picked against the Buckeyes. And the Buckeyes ripped Maryland 37-17.
He's done that
Although
like three times, though. We really shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
but here's the thing: when it was
close
when
at
it was
halftime.
10-0. When it was 10-0, y'all was scared because I had everybody's number on speed dial because I was going to call y'all and explain every touchdown, every point, everything. But man, I put my phone down for 32 seconds, and then next you know they got blasted.
Yes, it was still tied at the half. They had a chance to score and go ahead at the end of the half, and they messed up the clock, kind of like the Titans did at the end of the Browns' first half.
Right.
They ran out of time.
Did Dwayne score touchdowns at Ohio State?
Did Dwayne score any touchdowns at Ohio State?
Dwayne, nah, he was on the bench eating a sandwich.
Caroline had the second pick. She went with Rutgers, a 13-point dog at Wisconsin. Respectable, and once again, Caroline's pick covers. Caroline,
but doesn't win.
You don't get any points for a cover.
I am 6-1 against the spread.
6-1.
Hey.
Something has got to freaking give here.
24-13
as long as you give it
is the
your all,
final.
that's all that matters.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Plaz had the third pick. Now, this one was directed right at Caroline. He had the whole book it. He had the whole Saturday planned that Missouri was going to beat LSU. Then he was going to enjoy the Braves game one against the Phillies, and it just all went – the wheels came off. Missouri was a 4.5-point dog at home against LSU. Missouri was right in the game. Led, trailed. It went back and forth. Mm-hmm. And then a very late pick six was the killer. And then, of course, the Braves got shut out by the Phillies later. Plaz, how was your Saturday?
Well, it was spent at Dave & Buster's about a mile from Truist Park. So we had like 5 TVs in front of us. Missouri was one of them. Do they play defense?
They kind of forgot.
No, they do not.
And the big kicker that you were talking about, he missed one.
Missed two.
And one, the announcer was like, well, it must have been blocked. It must have been blocked.
One was blocked.
And it was not, though. One was just, he shanked it. He came up, he undercut it, and just missed it short. Like they showed the replay, they were like, this must have been blocked, and it wasn't. He just mishit it.
Oh, I thought it was blocked.
That's what everybody thought.
That was so
I think
funky.
it was Bob
had to have been
Wischusen,
blocked.
who's a great announcer. He says, it looks like it was blocked, and they slowed it down. He's like, no, you missed it.
That was a weird game.
Yeah. So Platts comes up empty. There's a lot of bitterness there. Chase McCabe had Georgia 14.5-point dog at – I'm sorry, he had Kentucky 14.5-point dog at Georgia. We know how that went.
Yeah,
and Mr. Stoops was not very – yeah. Did you like Coach Stoops' comments after the game about how Georgia bought the team?
I mean, look, he can say that all he wants, and it's probably true, but they're also back-to-back national champions. So, I wouldn't whine about it. I would just try and do something about it. He did.
55-13 was the final. Georgia comes to Nashville this week. Kelly had the 5th pick. He took Wyoming, 5-point dog, and Derek Mason at the time noted that he was recruited by Wyoming and was, it was like, I'd never been there. I didn't know anybody. And I was like, wait, he was kind of threw a little shade at Wyoming.
He didn't even know what Wyoming
Kara
was.
Hammer immediately, alumni from the Cowboys, was saying, hey, what's up with that? She said, all I needed was just some time with D-Mase. I would have recruited him. He would have come to be a Cowboy, and all of history would have been changed. But instead, we watched Wyoming, 4-1, 5-point dog at home against Fresno State. Tim Brando on the call. Excellent game, huge crowd, and they upset Fresno State 24-19. So Kelly in the win column, well done. You've moved into second, Kelly.
Yeah, that'll be. I mean, but we're a distant second because obviously I wasn't on the show last week. But did Derek win last week?
He did not. We're going to get to that in a moment. It was pretty close though. Temple was his pick. 14-point home dog against UT San Antonio, Texas San Antonio. It was pretty good. Temple played respectably well. We were talking about the history of Temple football, which is checkered at best. And they put up a good fight. 49-34 was the final. I feel like Temple, I didn't go back and look, but I feel like I saw a score where it was tied. It was very competitive. So that is not what anybody needed for the ratings of this competition, because that would have probably clinched it for D-Mase. So anyway, here are the standings. Kelly, the only person to get a victory. He picks up 5 points. D-Mase stays at 46 points, a huge number after 6 weeks. Kelly in second now with 8.5. Chase in third with 7.5. And then the trio, Chris, Plaz, Caroline, 0.
Good job, Caroline. Way to go, buds.
How do you guys?
Chris?
Do we have a little triumvirate, like a little group, like a therapy session or something to try to get back into this? You guys have any meetings scheduled?
I'm just ejected.
Hey, as long as we give it all that matters.
Okay. Text each other. Pick each other up. Let's go. Week 7.
I'm used to it.
Okay. All right, let's start Week 7. Caroline, you have the first pick on the board.
All right, well, they say that the NFL is a copycat league. Oh, yes, thank you. They say that the NFL is a copycat league. Silly Underdog Picks also is a copycat league, so I'm rocking with Kelly. And I will tip my cap to Kara Hammer's Cowboys.
Ooh.
I will take Wyoming to beat Air Force, 10.5-point dogs.
Okay. Wyoming, 10.5-point dogs after winning against undefeated Fresno State. Now, that is interesting. My internet is super, super slow here, so I'm going to take your word for it that it is 10.5. All right. So, and that game is at Air Force?
At Air Force.
So the Cowboys will have to travel on the road. By the way, the Boston Bruins last night came out with some Wyoming-looking uniforms. I didn't know they ever wore brown, but they had brown and gold in their opener last night against the Blackhawks. Wyoming.
An homage to my Cowboys.
I think that's what it was. I think they're trying to set you up with your first win.
I appreciate that.
Did I mention I'm going to be in Boston on Saturday? Okay. Moving on. Plaz has the second.
Did I mention we didn't care?
Oh, my goodness.
Willie, it's very possible that I'm going to have a very busy weekend. And so I'm getting this out of the way. I'm taking Memphis.
Very interesting. You once lived in Memphis, did you not? You had an association
barely.
with that school.
Barely. Yes, I was once their announcer.
Yes, you were. Just a little history lesson for the newer residents of Nashville. Memphis is 4-1 on the season, and they are a 4.5-point dog as they host Tulane. Very interesting. Now, Plaz, if you get this pick, you're going to be on the board, but you're still going to be looking at Mars. That's where Derek is. That's how far ahead he is.
Willie, basically, I'm well aware that I'm not going to win the competition.
Is your goal just to beat Kelly? Is that really what it is right now?
There really are no goals at this point other than my most important thing right now. I'm going to the Predator game tonight, and I have learned that the Braves game is the exact same time. I am working feverishly on ways to make both work.
Okay. That is multitasking. Game management will be important.
That's what we're doing right now. I don't have time to worry about this. I know I'm a loser, and we're just doing the best we can.
With that in mind, let's bring up another Braves fan, Chase McCabe, currently in third place.
Behold the king, the king of kings. On your knees, dog.
All right, I'm going to go to a game that involves a team that's come up on this competition a couple times this year. But I am going with Trent Dilfer and UAB +9 against UTSA.
Trent Dilfer, who has probably made more noise for his outburst on the sideline to his assistant coaches than anything else he's done so far. But he's got a pretty good team. If I can just find it on my sheet here.
So it's under college football, Willie.
College football. Okay.
9-point dogs.
What is going on with this thing? My internet has gone haywire here. All right, UAB is a 9.5-point dog as they take on UTSA. UTSA comes up a lot, as Chase mentioned. Okay, we move on. Kelly Holcomb trying to cut the deficit to D-Mase a little bit more.
We can skin a buck and run a trot line, and a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. Country boy can survive. Country folks can survive.
I miss my Titans.
What a clown, dude. Okay, I do kind of wish D-Mase was here. I mean, I've gotten to the point where, you either got to go for home runs, which I got a 14-point game, or you just go like I'm doing right now. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to, just to piss him off, I'm going to take his Michigan State Spartans because he can't win with them, and I'm going to say they beat Rutgers.
Okay. Again, my internet going crazy. Michigan State. I'm looking at their game next week.
It's not your internet, Willie. It's you.
So it's kind of like a bad hitter. It's not the bat. It's the guy holding it.
Yeah,
Michigan State
get rid of
is
the
a 4.5-point dog playing on the road at Rutgers. That game is Saturday at 11 a.m. on the Big Ten Network. 4.5, Kelly. I'm wondering about that strategy.
I mean, at some point I got to go for. I mean, I've got a 14-point game. I mean, I get it, but I just want wins. It's you got to get some confidence somewhere.
You're trying to get a winning feeling. Okay.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if my game with the Louisiana Monroe, if there's not a 56-yard field goal as time expires, I'm in this competition. But
yes.
What do you do? What do you do?
You know what? I mean, it's time to get over UL Monroe.
Hey, George, when it's your time, you can talk. If it's not your time, be quiet.
Moving forward, let's get to the former Spartan, Derek Mason, who was on a plane.
Years ago, and it's Cardinal.
Go green, go white.
D-Mase on a plane to London, so let's see what he is left for Mr. Nick Frazier.
Yes.
Nick, what has D-Mase got?
D-Mase has left me with a Big Ten matchup, and it is the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Wisconsin Badgers. He's taking Iowa at 10 on the spread.
Iowa, I have as a 9.5-point dog.
Okay.
At Wisconsin, close enough. If it's up to the panel, we'll shave that down to 3.5, especially if they win.
I'm cool with it. D-Mase isn't here. He doesn't know.
I'm cool with a 1-point game. How about that?
Make it a pick 'em.
Is he being activated for the game?
Well, he's going to be there, so I guess that's possible really for either team. He played for both, but, the Titans could use him.
Yeah, he's returning punts.
Returning punts. For both teams. All right, let's get to Chris Sanders for the final pick.
Goodbye.
All right, here we go. This is where I make my move. This is where I get on the board, and this is where I catch Derek. I'm going with Ball State over Toledo. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's going to be a nail-biter.
I've never been to Ball State Stadium in Muncie, Indiana. I assume it's got stands on both sides of the field?
No. It's going to be on MySpace.
We'll have to
Is
ask
it on the Cartoon Network?
We'll have to ask Blaine
It's
Bishop,
on MySpace.
former teammate. Ball State, the Cardinals.
Who is the head coach?
Ball State is a 17-point dog at home against the 5-1 Toledo Rockets. Now, Chris, you are aware that Ball State is 1-5.
Dang. No, he's not aware of
He's
that.
not.
Does the lawn chair rule apply here?
You need to, Willie, you need to ask him the mascot question, too, because he don't know it.
I already said it. The Cardinals. All right, let's recap the picks for week number 7. Little fight song music, and we will be on out of here. Caroline Fenton looking for the first win. 5-1 against the spread in the competition, but has yet to pick up an underdog win. She's going to go with the Wyoming Cowboys. A second straight week. Kelly got a victory with Wyoming last week. Wyoming is a 10.5-point dog at Air Force. Plaz with the second pick. Picking Memphis, a school that he once called the games for back in the 80s. Memphis is a 4.5-point home dog against Tulane. Chase McCabe, who bolted from Bridgestone Arena, forgot about the competition. He's going to go with a friend of the show, Trent Dilfer and the UAB Blazers, 9.5-point dogs against Texas San Antonio. Kelly Holcomb picking Michigan State out of the Big Ten, a 4.5-point dog against Rutgers. Derek Mason on a plane to London as we speak, selects Iowa, 9.5-point dogs against Wisconsin. And Chris Sanders selects 1-5 Ball State, a 17-point dog at home against Toledo, 5-1 out of the MAC. So a little MACtion to wrap things up. Those are our picks for Week 7. Remember, our competition brought to you by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. You can play at home by going to thegamenashville.com. Select your picks, 3 of them, before kickoff on Saturday. Those are our picks for week number 7. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, good luck.
Yeah, whatever.
Save it, Willie.
In honor of D-Mase, I hope y'all all lose.
Hey, there you go.
Whatever.
Derek left that message. Guys, we'll talk to you again next week.
See ya.
Go Braves.
See ya. Go Braves.
All right, Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase is brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and older and in Tennessee to bet.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willy, D-Maze.
Dominic Cavity.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is happening at Genesis Diamonds. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex event featuring a stunning new selection of these hard-to-find watches. Hulks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest models that people wait years for. For this event, you can choose from 5 years financing or get a free pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond earrings valued at $5,000. Imagine a luxury pre-owned ladies Rolex Datejust for just $199 a month, or a Sea Dweller or Submariner for just $299 a month. No waiting list, no games, just the watch you want at the great Genesis value price you deserve. Also for this event, our pre-owned Rolex buyers will be offering top dollar for your Rolex, so you can buy, sell, or trade. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state. Get the timepiece of your dreams and take advantage of our special financing. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, your home for luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit while supplies last. See store for details.
Hi, this is Warren Moon, former quarterback for the Houston Oilers, 9-time Pro Bowler, and member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. As a former player, I've always focused on my health. Did you know about 1 in every 3 people in the U.S. will have shingles in their lifetime? Shingles can cause nerve pain and can last for months or even years. As we get older, our risk of having shingles and its serious complications increases. Getting the shingles vaccine is the only way to prevent shingles. Join me and gear up against shingles.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra. Results vary.
Are you ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? Look no further than Big Play Hendersonville. Get ready to embark on an adventure like no other. Whether you're a kid or a kid at heart, Big Play Hendersonville has something for everyone. And right now, you can get half off a $50 gift card to check out all they have to offer, from bowling to laser tag, indoor go-karts, bumper cars, and more. They offer fantastic food options as well. Big Play isn't just a place, it's an experience. Get half off now at the game Nashville.com/deals.
Green Trees Company Dispensary and 102.5 The Game want to send you to see Kiss at Bridgestone Arena October 23rd. Keep listening to Nashville's best sports talk for your chance to win tickets to see Kiss on their End of the Road tour, courtesy of Green Trees Company Dispensary.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Georgia from First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Coverage starts at 9:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
All right, and joining us now is new Predators president, Michelle Kennedy. Michelle, I know that on opening night, this is an incredibly big day for you, so I appreciate your time and appreciate you sitting down with us.
Of course.
So, it's probably unfortunate for you that Barry Trotz doesn't always consult you with team decisions, but you still have a job to do, and you still have a job to make Bridgestone Arena the arena that it always has been, so lively and such a fun place to be. What challenges does it present when the team on the ice has kind of pivoted and is taking a different direction? What challenge is that like for you to make sure that Bridgestone Arena is still such a fun place to be for fans, that the Predators are still such a presence in the community?
Yeah, we have I guess it's an interesting twist on perspective, but we have the advantage of having been a team that at the beginning people had no idea what hockey was. We had to make this an invigorating environment for people to come to, regardless of what happened on the ice. And so that's what we've become. We've become an entertainment destination. We have become a place that the bachelorette parties that love Nashville so much come here for fun because they've heard it's such a fun environment. So certainly we always like when competitive success and the fun environment are happening in tandem. But when there are times on the ice when we're making a change in direction, we want it to be a fun environment where people feel welcome, people feel exhilarated, and they have a great time no matter the outcome on the ice. Now, with that said, yes, we've made a bit of a change in direction, but I will tell you, I have never been in an environment that after we were a seller at the trade deadline and people, that typically indicates that you don't really feel like you have much of a chance for the playoffs. The last 6 weeks of our season last year were as much fun as I've had in ages because we saw all those young guys and some of our core still being here have a great time on the ice. And so if you had told me at any point in my career, including any point during the season last year, that we would not go to the playoffs and that we would end on such a high that our fan base was more excited than I've seen them since we had the Stanley Cup final run, I would have told you that you're crazy. But that's exactly what happened. And so, even when there's a change, as I said, we have to have a sustainable, entertaining experience, period. The changes that happen, sometimes you feel like those are curveballs. They ended up being really great things that we've had a great time with and we've been able to build on. So I think that coming into this season, there's a whole lot of excitement. And it's slightly different than the excitement usually is. It's usually, oh my gosh, we're going to make a Stanley Cup run. This time it's these young guys that we saw at the end of last year were so much fun to watch. We can't wait to see them come back after having grown up a little bit more, evolved a little more. Then you add to the mix a couple of really key guys who were injured for a lot of the end of last year in Roman and Phil. Put those guys back in the mix. Then probably the most surprising thing that's happened in the last few months is just how active we were at the trade deadline, acquiring pieces that are able to do things to make us more competitive right away. And so you have Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shen, Gus Nyquist in the room now. And so there's a different kind of excitement. It's, wow, we thought we were about to get into this rebuilding thing. And we still are. I mean, we're still young. We're still those things. But there are some pieces that make it seem like, this could be a season that surprises a lot of people.
And you talk about, packing out Bridgestone Arena. I've heard you say before that you want these offices up here that work for the Predators and also the arena itself when it's filled with fans. You want it to look like the world that we walk around in. And the Predators, I think, have done such a fabulous job of trying to grow the influence. Hispanic Heritage Night, Black History Month, Hockey is for Everyone Night. What is there left to do? Who else do you want to cater to the community, and how much more work is there left to be done for the community from the Predators organization?
There'll always be that work. Us being a part of the community. So I think our organization shares such a special bond with our community in so many ways. One of the things that I look back on that I think is a real piece of connective tissue is that the citizens of this community literally, this, I am not being figurative, they literally saved this team. This team was headed to Canada. And they created a fan rally. They said, we're not going to lose our team. And so I think that creates a connectivity that, while in the moment it was terrifying because we're literally trying to save our organization from being relocated, when you look back on it, I think that was a great point of unification that not many teams ever get to enjoy having with their communities. And so I think that is a point of genesis of some of the connectivity. But we also understand, we always say, we know we have a big megaphone. We amplify causes, and if we don't use that for good and to do things that will lead to progress, then we're not doing our jobs, because our jobs extend way beyond what's on the ice or what's on a concert stage in this building. It extends to being the absolute best community citizens that we can be. And because we do have that megaphone, and people, you've probably heard Sean Henry say it 1,000 times. I say it all the time. We sell hot dogs and hockey tickets for a living. But people listen to us because we have come to be that organization that people relate to in so many ways. And so we enthusiastically embrace that responsibility to continue to make our organization and our fans look more like our community as a whole. And there will always, always be that work to do. And we will always be the place that welcomes everyone. We will always be the place that pushes those initiatives forward in a positive way. And so us continuing to create that sustainable model of pulling more people in and making everyone feel welcome here, it will always be very high on our agenda. And so have we accomplished some things to this point? Sure, but that's not the way we look at it. We look at it as we want to be better tomorrow than we were today, and that's always what we're going to do, and there will always be work in that space, and there will never be a time that we don't see our responsibility to the community as a paramount consideration for everything that we do every day.
And what are some of the hurdles that maybe you've seen of continuing to outreach to the community, continuing to expand the influence of the Nashville Predators in the Nashville area? And how have you planned and how have you seen a plan unfold of how to get past some of those barriers?
I think part of it is we talk about it all the time, that our organization chooses to do the right things and we execute on that. In doing so, we do it a little bit differently. We call ourselves unapologetically irreverent. Sometimes, we don't play hockey the same way everyone does. You don't go into every stadium in every arena in the NHL and have your fans tell the opposing goalie that he sucks when you score on him. I mean, they're just things that we do differently. So we don't look at it like that. I don't look at it as, oh, I sure hope we can do that, but look at these 2 or 3 things in the way. It's a little bit of parallel to my career. People ask me all the time, as a woman in a man's world. I laugh at that because I've never felt it. I've always had my sights set on what is the next move for me, what's the next right move for this organization. And I think if you get too distracted with the potential pitfalls, you lose course and you lose track of what you're doing. And so we don't see it like that. We see it as there's more work to do. We're going to continue to do it. Not everybody is going to be on the same page with us all the time. We found it during COVID with mask and no mask. You had 50% of the people who thought you were doing too much, 50 who thought you were doing too little. Mm-hmm. And so what we had to do was just come back to our center and do what we had to do, number one, by regulations and such, but number two, just what felt right. And so that's what we're always going to do. We're always going to be pulled into the direction that feels right. And if we encounter obstacles over time as we go in the right direction, we'll figure that out. But planning with that contingency in place, I think, is a frustration of purpose as you execute those plans.
Predator Way is not just on the ice. It's also in the higher-ups as well. Michelle Kennedy, Predators president, is with us. You mentioned being a woman in a man's world, being a woman, NHL president. How do you view the dichotomy of wanting to open doors for more women in this space, more women in sports, more women in the NHL, while not being labeled as just one of the top female executives in sports, but just being a top executive in sports?
As you can imagine, I get invited to talk about this all the time. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, they'll say to me, wow, there can't be many female presidents. Probably not, but I don't have a census. It matters not at all to me. The only reason that I think it matters is that I want the 5-year-old little girl that I was once and that you were once to see somebody who looks like her doing a job that some people will tell her she can't do. But again, I've never felt it. I've never been held back. I have always been regarded as I regard myself, which is a diligent, hardworking professional. We don't want to be the best hockey team that has gold and blue in our uniforms. We want to be the best hockey team.
Right.
I don't want to be the best female leader. I just want to be the best leader. And so I think that when I talk to people, I want them to leave it thinking, I mean, she seems okay, but not anything extraordinary that I can't be. Mm-hmm. And so, I will always think of myself as a little girl from a tiny town in Kentucky who worked hard, set her mind on certain things, and has achieved a number of things. But I think when you start, again, to put those roadblocks in front of you and think, oh, well, can I do this because of X, Y, or Z? It frustrates your purpose. And one of my favorite things in the last couple of years on this topic that makes me feel like my goddaughter and young girls will see this differently than I do. David Poyle has 2 granddaughters, mm-hmm. and an awesome grandson too, but this story is about one of his granddaughters. It was a Women in Sports Day. Lindsay Rowley was interviewing me, and I had just been in a setting with Ellie, who is his granddaughter, and someone asked her what she wanted to do someday, when you grow up, and she said, I'm going to be a general manager in the NHL. She didn't say, I sure hope I can. She didn't say, I hope it'll be possible one day. She just said, that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I want every little girl to think, because she sees me and others in roles that are, to some people, non-traditionally female roles. Right. I want that to go away. And I think there is progress with that. There has been progress with it. The fact that Ellie said what she did sounds like progress to me. So that, to me, is the only importance of making any distinction between me and anybody else who does what I do, at least from a title perspective, because I want other people to see that they can do it and think of me as being approachable. And wow, I mean, she's not dumb, but she's not extraordinary. I can do that. And that's what I want people to think. That's the absolute only reason that I think it's important.
Whatever team that Ellie is a general manager of, I look forward to being a diehard fan of, because I know that she will achieve that goal. And you've been here for 15 years.
I have.
A lot has changed. Probably a lot, different faces in this building. The city has changed. This team has grown and changed so much. what does the next 15 years look like? What is the Michelle Kennedy DNA of the Nashville Predators of the foreseeable future?
You know, I want us to continue. So I say a lot of the time, more of my career is back there than up there. I don't have one foot out the door by any stretch of the imagination, but at this stage of my career, what I am most focused on, is developing leaders in this organization so that when I'm retired and I'm in Sonoma County sipping on wine all day long, that this place is in good hands. Because as you said, we have had such a turnaround in the last 15 years. This was a team that was irrelevant. It was about to leave. Huge kudos to our owners who came in here and in the most difficult of circumstances created something that is not only relevant, but the toast of sports, the toast of professional sports. I think we've built a tremendous profile, a tremendous reputation, and maintaining that while we continue to grow our footprint, grow hockey in this area, and continue to be a wonderful experience. Now, some of the things that you'll see visibly in the next few years, the block that we sit on, which is arguably the best location for a professional sports venue anywhere. You will see it reimagined. We hope to create a vibrant, brand new mixed retail development space that still has at its center our arena, but it will be an exciting project to see develop. We are in the beginning stages of planning that, so it'll be a few years in the works. But there'll be some of that. We'll continue to build ice centers. We want to continue to bring people into our sport in this community because we're still in the South. It's not, we haven't had hockey for hundreds of years like other places have. So we need to continue to make it more entrenched in this community. And then, we also, I think, will start to continue to branch out in some other ways that are ancillary to what we do at our core. We have a relatively new business called SS&E, whereby we sell tickets, marketing rights for different organizations who can benefit from the way that we do things. So the continued expansion of that, but the most important thing is to always be true to what the center is, and that is being a productive part of this community and always being a positive and using that megaphone and that amplification device that we have to promote great causes, to make our community, to make ourselves look more like our community, and to always be regarded in a very positive way.
Michelle Kennedy, Predators president. It is opening night tonight, the start of a great season for the Nashville Predators. Appreciate your time. Thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you very much. Go Preds.
All right, there you go. That was Predators president Michelle Kennedy, and just talking with her about the future of the Predators, the future of Bridgestone Arena, the impact that this team impact in the community. It makes me really excited for the future of this organization and really excited for the future of this organization's involvement in the city. But we'll react to what we had to hear from Michelle Kennedy there. Also, Elliot Friedman will join us in just over 10 minutes. So let's talk some hockey here. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He knows Nashville sports.
And you've got Mike Vrabel in what feels like sort of a back against the wall game. They're at their best.
And he's not scared to tell it like it is.
They need to go on the road and win a game.
He is Outkick's Chad Withrow.
16 5-star players and 52 4-star players.
Withrow joins Stillman and Company every Friday at 5. Brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
They still have all of the talent.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline Fenton here for my friends over at Black Tie Moving. And when you choose Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. And I moved with Black Tie Moving just about 2 months ago, and it was the easiest, most stress-free, most seamless moving experience I have ever had. And I know what you're thinking, like, yeah, right, it's a stress-free moving experience. No such thing, because we all know that moving is not fun. We all know that moving is stressful. But on the day of my move, Black Tie Moving took care of everything. They took such great care of all of my furniture, all of the things that I was moving. They wrapped everything up really well to make sure that none of my furniture got banged up in the moving process. They were so respectful of me and my space, and they were, so willing to answer any questions that I had. Were more than willing to ask questions just to make sure that my entire moving process was exactly how I wanted it to be. I cannot recommend them enough. So visit blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401. That is 615-437-8401. And be sure to mention the promo code GAME, G-A-M-E, to score 10% off of your next move. Then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life with Black Tie Moving.
When you own a business, it's like another member of your family. And success takes time. It requires money, attention, and tools to help it grow. At F&M Bank, we'll treat your business like family, building trust and responding quickly when you need us. No matter your business goals, you can reach them easier when you have a banking relationship that supports you, tools to conveniently manage your money coming in and going out, and expertise to make your business better. Bank your business at F&M Bank. myfmbank.com. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. I get my Dunks every morning. I grew up with Dunkin' in Boston, and it's been my favorite ever since. Fall in love with Dunkin's pumpkin coffee, lattes, muffins, and donuts. Made with their signature high-quality coffee, each sip and bite is sure to delight. Perfect for those cool autumn mornings, or as a sweet treat any time of day you won't be able to resist the delicious pumpkin flavor. Get pumped for pumpkin. Stop by Dunkin' today.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We're losing too many of our friends, neighbors, and loved ones to fentanyl poisoning. Nearly 75% of overdose deaths in Nashville involve fentanyl, but you can save a life with training and naloxone. STARS, Nashville's regional overdose prevention specialists, are here to teach you how to recognize and respond to an overdose and how you can save a life. Call 615-393-6980 or visit starsnashville.org. This project is funded under a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Make your silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes, and you can play at thegamenashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app as we approach Week 7 of college football and Week 6 of the NFL. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. We are live out here at Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena. The Predators home opener tonight. And it feels so nice to finally have Predators hockey back here in Smashville. Just heard from Michelle Kennedy, the Predators president. And one thing that I do want to clear up before we get into previewing tonight and previewing Elliot Friedman, who will join us weekly starting today. We have a few texts in our text line. Sean Henry is still with the Predators organization. So Sean Henry previously was the Predators president and CEO. Michelle Kennedy was the team's COO. And just with the duties, it made more sense for Sean Henry to, focus on one side of his dual duties of president and CEO. So Sean Henry is still the team CEO. Michelle Kennedy has been, elevated from COO to president. So Sean Henry is still in the building, and now it is just two different people. She is Madam President.
Yes, you said that more clearly than I would have been able to explain that part of it. But yeah, Michelle has been such a big part of the team, integral part of the team for a long time. But now she's kind of stepping into the spotlight a little bit more, which is really exciting. That was a great conversation you had with her. But yes, Sean is still very present, very involved, and it's a great leadership group that everybody has here at the top.
Absolutely. And then one thing I asked her was, look, you've still got a building to fill. And like she said, we sell hockey tickets and hot dogs, which is a very humble way of summarizing what her job is. And that job could become inherently more difficult if the team takes a step back, if the team doesn't, win games. But one thing that she mentioned was, and that's a credit to the people at Bridgestone Arena, a credit to the people within the Predators organization, and a credit to this fan base, that even when the team is going through a different direction, even when there might be some more question marks than there are answers about what this team is going to be this season, that the fans still show up and the fans are still excited. And I think that's a credit to everyone involved.
I told you I was really, really impressed with the two. And I just talking to Andrew Burnett this morning. He was impressed with the two, as he called them, dress rehearsals here, because everybody's asking him about first game at home and memories of 25 years ago when he was in that first game for the Predators. And he was like, I feel like I'm already getting used to the crowd here because the crowds were so good for the preseason game. Yeah. So even with the team sort of in transition in this new era here, I think the fans have been just fantastic, and I'm expecting a great atmosphere tonight.
Oh, it'll be a blast. Absolutely a blast. Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet will join us coming up next. He joins us every Thursday during the hockey season, took a quick hiatus over the last couple of months, but hockey is back, and so is Elliot. And one thing that I'm excited to ask Elliot about, his perspective of, is the national perspective of this team. Because in Nashville, we've heard Barry Trotz. At least I understand, and Willie, you understand the vision and the direction that this team wants to go in. What's Elliot's perspective of what the Predators are doing and what they can accomplish this season? Elliot Friedman will join us coming up next. Caroline, Willie, D-Mase. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is half off a $50 gift card for Big Play Hendersonville. They offer everything from bowling to laser tag, indoor go-karts, bumper cars, and arcade, fantastic food, and so much more. And right now you can get half off a $50 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals and check out all that they offer.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Georgia from First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Coverage starts at 9:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
So, if there's brunch, why isn't there dinner?
Or dunch, for that matter.
No, we know why there's no dunch.
Why is that?
People might get confused and miss brunch.
And I never want to miss a brunch this good.
Me either. Cheers.
Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Breakfast buffet Monday through Thursday from 7 till 10:30 a.m. and lunch from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Weekend brunch Friday through Sunday from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. featuring cast iron pancakes, made to order waffles, and eggs and carafes of mimosas. Treat yourself today to Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier with your Game Center update. Yesterday on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase, Outkicks Jonathan Hutton joined the show and shared his thoughts on how the Titans cannot bench Christian Fulton from a roster depth perspective.
I guess the alternative would be, okay, we're taking him out because the eyes continue to be in the backfield. He's getting run over on some of these routes. The quick answer to that is no. The depth is not up to par. It's not up to snuff. And I think the other quick answer, man, the D-line and the pass rush has to affect the quarterback enough to help out the secondary. It's not a good situation. It's a situation you don't want to be in this early in the season.
Tune in tonight as the Nashville Predators host the Seattle Kraken in their home opener as the Predators look to get their first win of the season. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m. You can listen to the game right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt. I think he's got a coach up by Cheryl. You're going to see more moves.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Live out here at Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena. The Predators home opener tonight. And since hockey season is back, so is Elliot Friedman. Elliot, it is so great to have you back on these airwaves. Appreciate you for stopping by.
It is great to be back. Hope you guys all had a great summer, and hope life in Nashville and Tennessee is very good.
And well, life in Nashville, at least hockey life in Nashville, has changed a lot since the last time we chatted. You know, the Predators move on from John Hines, bring in Andrew Burnett. So now I don't have to ask you if they're going to fire the coach every week. So this is a nice change of pace. Barry Trotz takes over as general manager.
What do coaches get? So I figure about 2.5 years from now, Caroline, I got to start preparing for that again. Okay, I'll be ready. Hopefully it's
I'll give you some time.
Much longer than that. Yeah, much longer than that.
I think that would be great for everyone here and also for you and our discussions every week and the ease of our discussions. Right, exactly. So, you know, a new era of Predators hockey, moving on to kind of a youth movement, but also bringing in what Barry Trotz calls serial winners. Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shen, Gus Nyquist. What do you make of this transition that the team is in?
I think that there was definitely a feeling that things had gotten a bit stale. You know, the thing I really liked the other night against Tampa Bay is obviously the team didn't start very well, but they got going. I think there were some games last year that, you know, if the Predators didn't start well, they didn't really dig their way out of it. And that was one last night that was different. They didn't win. They could have won. And I'm sure that in some level there's probably people in there saying we probably should have won. But the bottom line is that they showed a real compete level that at times last year I think they felt was lacking. So, you know, like the thing about O'Reilly is he's a pro. The thing about Shen is he's a pro. Like those guys are going to be prepared to play. They demand a lot of themselves. As a result, they demand a lot of the people around them, and that's what's going to change. That's how this group is going to change. Like whatever didn't work last year, Barry Trotz felt that those personalities were necessary to improve it.
And it makes sense. You know, if you're going young, you assume it's a learning by osmosis from guys that have been around the game and have played an incredibly high level. Elliot Friedman is with us. Elliot, do you think that you can win a cup that way, of not tearing everything down and, you know, making more renovations or adjustments to build for the future rather than completely tearing it down, getting a top 3 pick, getting that elite center, elite forward for the future?
Well, I think the challenge there, Carolyn, is, you know, like I just don't think your team is barren of talent. And I think the other thing, too, is I think it's an easy thing. Like, in the NFL, you know, you're going to make a ton of money no matter what your record is, right? You know, the NFL's media deals being what they are and the popularity of the league, you know, you can have situations where you say, we're going to do a long rebuild and you're going to be okay. I think sometimes these teams worry about long rebuild in hockey. You know, what's that going to mean? Like, is it going to affect their ticket sales? Is it going to affect their draw? Things like that. So as a result, I think those decisions always go into it. The one thing I really feel is that in hockey, you need elite level talent, yes, but you also need depth. And, you know, Parsonen scored the other night. If you're like, I think that the Predators want to see some of these guys play at the NHL level in big roles before they figure out, you know, how much, you know, they really have to do a total teardown or things like that. Like, if Novak is what we think he can be, that's a real good piece that in some ways has found money. If Parsonen is what we think he could be, that's a real good piece. So I think what they want to find out for sure, Carolyn, is put those players in places where they're going to have to take a bigger role and then decide, okay, can they do it? Yes. Then what else do we need? Can they do it? Can they not do it? Then we have bigger problems than we thought. And I think that's kind of where Nashville is right now. I think they want to find out for sure what they have before they decide they have to do anything drastic.
Elliot Friedman is with us. Elliot, great to talk to you again. And listening to your breakdown of the division that I heard you do on your podcast, the 32 Thoughts, which is excellent with Jeff Merrick, that people should always listen to. You really, I think, characterized it well, that after you get past Colorado and Dallas, who look like they're really in a good position to challenge for big things, that it's pretty open and unknown where everybody else falls.
Mm-hmm. I would say also, Willie, I think Minnesota, they're pretty good. I don't think they're as good as Colorado and Dallas, but I think they're good. And I think Chicago, as we're seeing, they're probably going to finish 8th. But I think there's 4 teams there, Arizona, St. Louis, Winnipeg, and yourselves, where I think there's a spectrum of where it could go. Like, I think there are situations where those teams could be better than we expect, and I think there are situations where those 4 teams could be not as good or worse than we expect. So when I see you guys, and I see you guys with the Blues and the Coyotes and the Jets, I really have no idea. Like I said, I thought you guys really battled the other night. I think it was a good sign. I mean, game 1, you shouldn't be losing 8-1 like the Oilers did last night. I thought it was a really good sign for you guys, but we'll see. How many times is Saros going to be beaten 4 or 5 times? You don't think it's going to be a lot, but that's a great team with a lot of players. I think if you guys take out the first, 15 minutes or so, if you guys can start better and carry that through, I think you're going to have a lot better nights than we expect.
It was an ESPN triple header, but I'm curious your perspective from where you sat, Elliot, because ESPN went all in, and maybe to some Predator fans here's liking, they went maybe a little over the top with the debut of Connor Bedard, which was coming up after the Predator game. And so there was a lot of people in Nashville saying, hey, we got a game here. How about paying attention to this game before the Blackhawks game starts? But we understand just the impact, especially knowing the Blackhawks rivalry with the Predators, how big that's going to be. So I'm curious, how have you guys handled it on Sportsnet, the debut of a guy that looks like he's going to be very, very special, and he has not disappointed. The first 2 games, you can see why everybody's been so excited about this guy.
Well, I think this. First of all, I understand why the Predators might hate to see one of their biggest rivals get featured like that, but you've got to understand what's going on here. This is a huge prospect, and, for example, if one of Nashville's rivals biggest rivals in the NFL, whether it's the Colts or whoever it is, like when Andrew Luck was making his debut, it's going to be all over the place whether the Colts are playing the Titans or not. Like, that's just life. And as a matter of fact, I think, honestly, guys, in the NHL, we don't do it enough. Like, every other league, if you took, and I don't necessarily, like talk about a generational player in the NBA. Like for example, Wembanyama this year, or LeBron James when he was the number one pick. If ESPN had those games, those guys are going to be all over the place. And that's the way it should be. People want to see them. People are interested in them. I think in hockey we don't do that enough. And I really liked what ESPN did the other night. I thought it was also good that the Stanley Cup was on Monday Night Football and the Golden Knights were there because the game Raiders-Packers was in Vegas. So I think hockey's too shy about that stuff. I think we need to do it more. Look, he's coming up this weekend. He's going to be in Montreal on Saturday. He's going to be in Toronto on Monday. I mean, we're going to go overboard with it too. Like, when he scored last night and I tweeted it out, his first goal, people were like, oh, good, maybe we can talk about something else. I mean, come on, don't be bitter. Don't be bitter.
Just go with it.
Embrace the sport. Embrace the entertainment. It's a big deal, and the kid is really, really talented, and people want to see stars. I can tell you this: if Nashville picks number one and they take Bedard, it's not getting any less attention. It's all over the place, and then you guys would say, "Hey, stop disrespecting Nashville. He's our star."
Elliot, another point you made, which I think is a good one. And we were on the air when it happened. We looked up, and right away we saw a hockey guest on the Pat McAfee show, which is, almost a rising show that already had a huge following. Now it's on ESPN. It's a big deal that they had him on. And you pointed that out on your podcast, just what that means for the sport, kind of like you did when Matthew Tkachuk was going on the NBA show with the TNT guys during the final.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it's great. Like, I don't know how you guys feel, but I really like McAfee. I think he's really entertaining and he's really funny, and I really admire his work ethic. Like, I was following last Saturday as he did the college football game in the morning, the show from Colorado, and then he did a game cast, and then someone sent me some video. He was at the WWE match in Indianapolis that night. Like, that guy works. But he's got a huge audience. There's got a lot of fans. I was on his show once, and I would joke, I must have been a terrible guest because he didn't invite me back. But I got so many tweets and notes about, oh, I heard you on McAfee. And, I just, look, like, I love hockey. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies when it comes to self-promotion. It's never bad to be on a place like that. Never.
The Seattle Kraken are in town tonight. If you look at the Predators' schedule, the first 5 opponents are all very, very good. And it's not ideal for a coach trying to put a new system in with a lot of young players. The Kraken probably are the least scary on paper, but, man, that is a really effective team the way they go about it. Maybe tell people what you're seeing from them, why they have been so successful, why they were able to beat the Avalanche in the first round last year.
Well, first of all, Willie, I would disagree with you on one thing. I actually think it's a great thing that the Predators are getting all these tough teams at the beginning. Because when you're turning your team over and you've got a lot of young players, and like you said, there's a lot of young players that have bright futures, you might as well learn right away that this is a league, if you're not prepared, you're going to get punched in the face. And, this is a league full of a lot of good players and a lot of good teams, and you have to work to win in this league. You can be talented. Talent's important. But if you don't have the will, all the skill won't help you. And so that's why I think it's a great thing that you guys have the schedule you do, if maybe you'd like one more maybe guaranteed win in there. I think the thing about Seattle is the thing that made them successful last year is that they didn't have a ton of guys who played a ton of minutes, especially up front. It was very evenly distributed. But they came at you in waves, and they grinded hard, and they really stick to structure. They have some really talented players, but generally everybody stays where they're supposed to stay, and everybody gets reasonably close to minute allocation. So that's the thing about them is you'll look up and down their roster. You won't see too many stars, but you'll see a lot of consistent guys who don't take too many shifts off.
Elliot Friedman is with us, and when Connor Bedard was on McAfee, we had it on in the studio without the sound on, and I thought, whose little brother is that? And oh my goodness, that's Connor Bedard. Looked like a child up there on the TV screen.
He does look young, doesn't he? But he's able to handle. He's got a maturity about him that you can tell. He's been doing these interviews probably since he was 12.
Right. Yeah, he has been absolutely media groomed.
Well, I have to say, as a guy who's 53. I am definitely jealous of Bedard's age and youthful looks. But I'll tell you a story. I was at an event where a bunch of scouts were, and they were talking about last year's draft combine. And, they're like, okay, like, how strong is this guy? Like, is he going to need a few years till he really develops into his body? And he started doing reverse pull-ups. And, like, I don't know how many chin-ups or reverse pull-ups you guys can do. I can do like 12, but I need a band to help me do it. But anyway, they said he was like a machine. And when his arms started flexing, they were like, he may look like a boy, and he does, but he's got a very, very strong body. And they said he's going to score, and he's going to score right away. I guess that's the great combination: strong body, youthful looks, and I have neither.
Well, 12 pull-ups. Hey, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. I don't know if I can
like
crack
I said, Carolyn, there's a band there. There's a band using to help me.
Well, hey, I won't check your work there. I promise. I'll just take your word for it.
Just say 12. Just go with 12.
Yeah, just 12.
I mean, we're in Nashville. Just go with it.
Yeah, just go with it.
That's worse.
Right.
Yeah.
It's early in the season, but, looking at the Central Division, what's your impression of – because it looks here, besides Chicago, maybe Arizona, maybe there's not really a weakest link there. Chicago could end up being a whole lot better than we anticipate.
I don't know about that, Con. I don't think they're going to be very good. Like, they lost a big player last night. Taylor Hall got hurt. Like, he's supposed to play wing with Bedard, and he's going to be out week to week now. Suffered a pretty serious injury, apparently. But, the one, like, I worked till late last night. We had all 7 Canadian teams played last night, so we had a doubleheader. But I had one eye on Colorado. Those guys look really good, really good. And they're pissed off. They're pissed off about how they lost last year. I think like McKinnon and Makar, their two best players, are really fiery guys. And there is a real feeling that they blew it last year to the Kraken in the first round. Like, they're going to be a lot to handle. Dallas opens tonight, so we'll see them. They play St. Louis. But I got to tell you, that LA team is pretty good, and Colorado just dismantled them. They look real good.
The big bad Colorado Avalanche, as we've been calling them for the past couple of years. Who's a team that we're not talking enough about in the Western Conference?
I think first of all, Vegas, defending champion, they also look great. Like, I've seen teams raise the banner, and I love that slot machine, by the way. I thought that was fantastic. But I've seen teams raise the banner before and absolutely lay an egg. They looked really good, too. They beat Seattle, who you're playing tonight. So I would say them. But that LA team that got smoked last night by Colorado, I think they're ready to do a little bit more damage. They've lost in the first round the last 2 years. They've consistently added veteran, strong centers. LA would be the team, despite what happened last night, that I would like. And I'll tell you something last night, too. Like, a lot of us are picking Edmonton to win the Stanley Cup. They got their asses kicked last night. I know Brock Besser got 4 goals, but Pettersson from Vancouver, Elias Pettersson, number 40, he was a monster, and he's in a contract year.
It is Brocktober, after all.
He has got a shot, no question about it.
Yeah.
Elliot, before we let you go, I noticed on Cap Friendly there are 10 teams as we start the year that are already using the LTIR. And we know that the last couple of years have been flat, right, where the cap hasn't gone up. Teams have had to get creative. They've seen what other teams have done utilizing the LTIR. And the cap, as you reported earlier after the governor's meetings, it's going to go up finally next year. So what factor, if any, is it that on so many teams, I mean, you're getting close, when you count other teams that are right up on the cap already, what factor do you think that will be as we move forward and teams start getting injuries on trying to get through this with very little cap space for one more year?
Well, it's going to be a problem. Like the way it works for people who are not familiar, if you put a player on what Willy referred to as long-term injury, you get some relief. That really can help you. The problem is, if you put a player on long-term injured relief, he must miss a minimum of 10 games and 24 days. So if you have someone who's hurt not badly or not as badly, you can't do that. So they miss games, and you don't get the cap relief. Like, for example, right now, Ottawa has a player who's not signed, a very important player for them, Shane Pinto, but they have no cap room, and they have an injured player who can't go on to long-term injury. So they can't get it done. That's a problem. Last night we had 4 teams have to play a man short because they didn't have the cap room to bring up a minimum salaried player. Now, the way the league works is if you play one game short, then you can make an emergency call-up for your next games. But last night we had 4, which is a lot, and I think for the first time ever, there were 2 teams that played against each other shorthanded, the Oilers and the Canucks. So It's going to be a dance this year. It's going to be a real dance.
Where can the Predators, who have the 4th highest cap space available because they're in this transition, they moved on from some guys, where can they maybe take advantage of that with these teams that really have very few moves that they can make?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that because I should have brought this up before, but there's a player in Vancouver who he is not like Vancouver's one of those teams that's obviously really tight to the cap. There's a player there who just hired a new agent, replaced his agent like 2 days before the season, and the agent has been given permission to talk to other teams. And his name is Connor Garland. And I think he's the kind of player that Nashville would have some interest in. Vancouver is prepared to eat salary, and I don't know what other sweeteners they've kind of talked about there for that. He's got 3 more. He's got this in 2 more years at $4.9 million, and I could see him being the kind of player that the Predators would at least have some interest in. But I have no doubt that the Predators have at least looked at the idea, but I also think that they would want to do it in a way where they would really benefit, as you mentioned.
Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet. Elliot, it is so great to have you back on our airwaves. Hockey is finally back. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll chat next week.
No worries, guys. Have a great night. Enjoy the game, and have a great week.
Awesome. Appreciate it. You too. Elliot Friedman of the 32 Thoughts podcast and of Sportsnet. Let's preview the game coming up tonight. Predators, Kraken. Predators home opener in Bridgestone Arena. What's Willy looking for? We'll get into that coming up next. And, of course, your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We're brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Happy Friday, everyone. We're going into the football weekend. So there's no better time now to start betting with Zen Sports. And if you need to make that switch, you need to make it really, really fast because they're a growing sports book here in Tennessee, revolutionizing the way you bet on sportsbook with their cash reward program. When you sign up for Zen Sports with code D-Mason, that's D-M-A-S-O-N, you will earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. Think about that for a second. 5% cash back on your total play with no limits to how much you can earn as cash rebate on your bets. So what are you waiting for? Stop wasting your time and your money betting on other sports books to earn credit or points when you could be earning real cash rewards with Zen Sports. Download today on the App Store or zensports.com. Your wallet and or purse will thank you later. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City, a healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Are you ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? Look no further than Big Play Hendersonville. Get ready to embark on an adventure like no other. Whether you're a kid or a kid at heart, Big Play Hendersonville has something for everyone. And right now, you can get half off a $50 gift card to check out all they have to offer, from bowling to laser tag, indoor go-karts, bumper cars, and more. They offer fantastic food options as well. Big Play isn't just a place, it's an experience. Get half off now at the game Nashville.com/deals.
Family Leisure invites you to relax at home this fall with all our indoor products on sale now.
Family Leisure has theater seating, massage chairs, pool tables, shuffleboard tables, and game tables in stock and ready for immediate delivery.
Enjoy the movie theater experience in the safety and comfort of your own home with theater seating from Family Leisure. 3-piece sets start at only $9.99. Massage chairs are only $14.99 as well.
Well, I want to redo our game room with a pool table for me and an air hockey and foosball table for the kids, maybe even a ping pong table.
Family Leisure has 30 pool tables on display, hundreds in stock for immediate delivery. Pool tables start at $14.99 installed.
And don't forget the shovelboard tables, a game everyone can play.
Family Leisure has above ground pools in stock and ready for immediate installation.
And there's great sale prices on outdoor and wicker furniture. Huge selection still in stock. That's Family Leisure's Relax at Home sale.
At both huge locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Georgia from First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Coverage starts at 9:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's happening in Nashville? This is Scott Van Pelt. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You guys bounce back in the second. What changed, and what was the problem there in the first?
We knew they were going to come out hard. Obviously, they're a home opener. They're a great team over there. I thought we didn't manage the puck too well. A couple turnovers. When we had it, we weren't really keeping it without kind of just chucking pucks, and they come right back at us. But second period was a lot better. We got it down, started forechecking on them, and third period was even. Obviously, they get a couple power play goals, and I think that was the determining factor.
It was Philip Forsberg post-game after the Predators' 5-3 loss in Tampa. Look, that first period not look so hot. We had Max Hers on earlier. He said, well, hey, Andrew Burnett said maybe defensively it didn't look so bad in the first period. I thought, well, yeah, everything else didn't look so hot in the first period. And I thought, all right, maybe this is going to be a rough night. But the Predators turned things around in the second, third period, made things competitive. It was a tie game at one point. I stepped away
from the lead at the beginning of the third period.
Right.
And everyone was like, wait a minute, what happened
Hold up here. I stepped away, even in a loss. I stepped away thinking, okay, I feel good about this. I can feel good about that. What do you need to see tonight, Willie?
And I think more than the score, I think the biggest thing that you took out of there was at 5-on-5, once they got their act together a little bit, that they did look like they could play 5-on-5 with Tampa, which was very encouraging, given that, like you heard Philip Forsberg say there, you're in their barn, their home opener, they're jacked up. They're ticked off. They're not used to losing in the first round of the playoffs, which happened to them last year. So you had a very determined team, and you were able to hang with them. It was their power play that was the difference in the game.
Best in the league.
And I thought in particular, Philip Forsberg, I was wondering about rust for him because he missed so much time at the end of last year, and I was watching that a little bit in the preseason games that he played. But he played a very strong game, His whole line was good together. The chemistry was very encouraging there. So it's really what you took out of that. Now we got a whole new game tonight. So let's see what happens tonight. One guy that did not play as well was Roman Josi. So I'm wondering how he bounces back, if they can get him going tonight. So we may see some new storylines develop against a team like the Kraken. But there were a lot of good things to take out of the game against Tampa.
And, right, and I think that the theme of this season, at least early on, when you're still going through that transitional period, and Andrew Brunette said we're still looking for that connection, for that vibe. But that's going to take some time. I mean, that doesn't happen overnight. I don't think that this organization or Andrew Brunette wants to, fast forward and just try and, create that chemistry almost synthetically or microwave it in any sort. So it takes time. So I think with this team, at least in the beginning, it's picking up the good things where you can get it. And I think the turnaround of not feeling dejected, coming out there and coming out strong in the second and third periods, that's a good sign for me. I don't think that the positive things for this team, at least early on, are going to show up in the win and loss column or with the score. I think you can pick up on good identity over the first few games. Of course, you got to win some games.
Yeah,
you need to win some games.
And I think that's the balance that Andrew Brunette is looking for. He knows that this business is about results, and so he's trying to walk that line of how much do I demand that this system be played correctly now, as opposed to the realistic part that it is going to take some time. Because if you're sitting there as a coach and you're saying, yeah, guys, I know, we'll get it, it'll come. If you do too much of that, the next thing you know, it's like the PK Subban. You're 20 games in, and you've dug yourself a big hole. You don't want that. So you need to have a certain amount of expectation that you're going to get this done quick. Now, what was great is, as we were saying, once they started playing that style, you could see what they were doing. And they were giving Tampa Bay a lot of problems 5-on-5. Once they got in the groove, they held Tampa without a shot for over 10 minutes, over 13 minutes, over 2 periods there. So you can see it working. This is a tough test against Seattle, the way they play. It could be a very fast-paced game. So it could be a very entertaining game today. But once again, you worry if you're the Predators, can they avoid the big breakdowns? Because last year, Seattle came in to Nashville late in the season for 2 games in a row here. Because of the travel, they played 2 games in a row against the Predators. The first game, Predators played a sound game, close game, and won in overtime or a shootout. I don't remember. It was very, very close, 2-1, I think. They came back 2 days later, and Seattle just carved them up, feasted on turnovers, turned a lot of them into 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, a breakaway here and there, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And that's what Seattle can do to you. Even though they lost the other night in Vegas, Seattle jumped all over them early in the game and had some very good looks. Didn't score, and then the next thing you know, about 10 minutes later, they were down 2-0, and Vegas got their wheels turning a little bit, though, there. So this Kraken team is a very good team. This is a good test for the Predators, for sure.
Who are you looking at tonight?
Tonight, I want to see how Cody Glass responds. I mentioned Josi. Yeah. I think that's one to look for. Ryan McDonough and Alex Carrier as a pair had a very good game. They tried different partners with Roman Yossi. Neither of them worked. They tried Shen. They tried Barry. We'll see if they try anything different tonight to see if they can get the most out of it. Because obviously Yossi has got to play well, big picture here, for them to be the kind of team they're looking to be. So I'm definitely looking at Yossi. The other one, I want to see how the kid line at home looks. Novak had the great power play goal. As a whole, Novak, Tomasino, Evangelista, 5-on-5, not quite as active as you're hoping they will be in time.
Novangelisto, is that what we're calling that?
The Evangelisto line?
Novangelisto?
Novangelisto? I kind of like that. Okay. Novangelisto. Okay. I'm going to bounce that off of Chris and Hal. By the way, we have a 3-man booth tonight for TV. We're excited. So Hal will be up there with us.
Fun.
But, yeah, that's a line to watch. I think they're probably going to have some ups and downs. But at home, because you have the last change, Andrew Burnett can spot them in more favorable matchups. And let's see if that opens things up for them to have some success.
And I think that's difficult for maybe a non-hockey aficionado when evaluating some of the young guys. Because I think you look at the end of last season, it was easy to see, right? You sell at the trade deadline, so many young guys come up and they are able to look good and make games interesting because there were so many young guys, with Yossi out with a concussion. Are we allowed to say that? Did I just spill the beans, or are we too enough far removed that I can say it now? With an upper body injury, Forsberg out with the upper body injury.
They said it. I mean, he and Yossi each had the concussions.
That's what I thought. Yeah. All right, they had the concussions.
Yeah. They had the C word.
Yeah, I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag, a few months removed from it. But it really was the young guys' team. How do you evaluate these young guys when you know it's going to be ups and downs, and when you do kind of have that security blanket of the Forsbergs and the O'Reillys and the Yossis and the Shens? How do you evaluate these young guys and the ups and how to recreate the ups and how to eliminate the downs?
I think they're going to get a little bit more attention than they got. I think Tommy Novak, that shot on the power play ought to get some more people's attention. He's still a guy that you look at what he did offensively, and it's eye-popping what he did in the second half of the season. I mean, he was up there with some big names with his point production. And I'm sure it still surprises a lot of people to this day. Like, he had that many points? My gosh, what was I missing? Because if you weren't paying attention, you probably just didn't notice it. So now he's a little older, so I'm hoping that he's in a position now at this stage of his career to sustain something close to what he did. Maybe not quite that hot, but if he can be productive, that's a huge sign. He's a guy in a contract year. They got to make a decision on him. And I wouldn't be surprised if the wheels start turning on extension here, especially if he gets off to a good start here. That could be a very interesting discussion.
Oh, yeah.
What he's worth, that's a question for Elliott here in the next few weeks for sure. Cody Glass, another guy. He's young, but he's a little bit further along than a Luke Evangelista. He's a little bit older than Evangelista, a little bit older than Parsonen. And so he was kind of derailed by injuries, but I think he's mature enough now that I think it's time to find out, really. You want to see it quicker for him. He's going to have big responsibility tonight for sure because Glass is more of the guy they're asking to be a two-way center, not only produce some offense, but also he's going to be out there against top players. His line had a tough time. Also, he had the scary moment. He got hit in the head with the puck. That we were talking to him this morning. That was no bueno. Hopefully, I mean, fortunately he was okay. But that was not an easy game for him as well. But that's the kind of responsibility he's going to have. And so he's a very important player.
Here's my thing with Cody Glass. At what point can we no longer call young guys young guys? At what point do you have to see that breakthrough? And at what point do you have to say, look, you've gotten experience, you've gotten the time, and you're not making those same breakthroughs as you might see like a Juuso Parsonen make.
Yeah. Parsonen and Evangelista, I still think, are right on the fringe of still being listed on prospect lists, right? Glass and Novak have graduated out of that. They're no longer prospects, right? They are young pros. And so I think it's a good question. Glass signed a 2-year contract. I would say by the end of this contract, then no longer is he a young player. It's time to make a big decision on him. Is he a core player? So he's got 2 years to figure it out. This is the start. towards that. He's the oldest of all those guys. Well, no, I should say Novak's a little bit older. Novak's a little different as a late bloomer. He wasn't listed on any prospect list. He's kind of the out-of-nowhere guy. And like I said, he is in a contract year. So they're going to have to decide. Like, he is young, but when you're signing a guy to that second contract, you're now paying for production, right?
Right. And Cody Glass is what, 25?
A little younger than that, I
24?
think. 24, I think. Let's I've got it right
Which
here.
in NHL years, the NHL, like the age scale is like the Leonardo DiCaprio age scale.
Yeah.
Young is old.
Glass is 24.
24.
So, yeah, most people say when you get to 25, you are a little bit closer, pretty close to the finished product, right? What you see is what you're getting.
Let's get into some of your Predators' thoughts. 615-737-1025. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Shane in Murfreesboro texts in, says we do actually have young players getting valuable experience right now. Yuso Parson and Luke Evangelista, Philip Tomasino, excited to see how they play in the home opener. And it's not just about tonight, at least for me, Willie. It's about week over week and month over month. How can those guys grow? How can their role grow? And who starts to separate themselves from, okay, this is your future core, and what we just mentioned with Cody Glass or Tommy Novak, some of the older young guys and guys that, okay, it's put up or shut up time. Are you going to be part of this core? Or are we going to move on without you? I'm excited to see that over time and put it in the cooker a little bit.
Hal Gill made a good assessment. He said, don't be surprised if you see some of these guys have 10 really good games where you're like, these guys have arrived, look at this is amazing, and then some of them might go into 10-game slumps, right? And that's where you really get tested at this stage of your career because you have to overcome adversity. We saw it with Eeli Tolvanen, right? He went through a huge goal-scoring drought, probably lost a little confidence. Coaches probably got a little impatient. We saw what happened. You're going to be seeing him in a uniform tonight. He was transformed when he got the fresh start. He had early success, and he's now grown out of that stage of his career. And so that was obviously something that if you could have a do-over, you would probably do it over. But you could, if you were there in the moment, if you're being fair to the Predators, they were going through that tough time. Like, how much rope? It's kind of like, say, at one point as a young player, no longer a young player, we've got to see some consistency here if we're going to keep him in.
When you don't get the youth benefit of the doubt anymore.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if at least somebody in here in this group that we're talking about goes through one of those rough patches, right, where you got to find out what he's made of and can he bust through there and become the consistent player that they need them to be.
And I think that might be the message for this team for this entire season. You're going to have those young guys go through their ebbs and flows, and of course you have the anchor and the foundation of the veteran players, the serial winners, and your Predators core. But as the young guys ebb and flow, this team will ebb and flow. And I think it's important to remember that you have to go through those ebbs and flows in order to figure out, one, who you want to be part of the core of this team moving forward, and how to strengthen the identity of this team. Like Sean McIndoe of The Athletic has oddly specific predictions for the season, and his oddly specific prediction for the Nashville Predators is they could end up this season with the exact same number of points that they had last season. And I know that the idea of that might frustrate some Predators fans, but it would have a different feel to it.
I think it would, and that is something that I'm not ruling out at all. That I think if you look at a lot of the analytics projections and stuff, it's the over/under in Vegas, for example, is somewhere, it depends on where you're looking, but 86, 88, 89, so that's pretty close to, what did they have, 92, I think, last year. Mm-hmm. So they could end up, if they get the over barely, that's 92 and probably right on the fringe again. So that is possible. But I do think if you're doing that, as we were making the reference to the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. If you're sneaking in or you have the same amount of points as last year, but you're doing it with a much younger roster that you feel like you can grow with, then that's a better feeling than maxing out at 92.
And it's, yes, maybe the team on paper would look the same, but the franchise would be different. It's a different direction. It's a more optimistic 92 than it is a, really? Yeah. After all that and all that money and all of these veteran players, 92, it's a different feel.
And let's not forget maybe just as important part of the equation is the group that is in Milwaukee now. There are 4 first-round picks playing for Milwaukee that are still even younger than this group. And then the guys that they just drafted in Nashville last year with all those picks they accumulated they're in junior or they're in college hockey right now. That's who you're hoping to add to this group over the next 2, 3, 4 years.
So when the young guys now are your future veteran core,
yeah.
And then your new young guys, it's just a constant
You got
rotation.
another wave coming in.
Yeah, right.
That's how you get the depth to win.
All right, we got a Thursday night football game tonight. Ali Melnicki of Zen Sports will join us coming up next with your best bets for the night and of the weekend of NFL action. Ali Melnicki of Zen Sports will join us coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. They join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and D-Mase at Teddy's Tavern, located across from the Bridgestone Arena Plaza this Sunday from 11:30 to 1:30 as they break down the Titans-Ravens game. Our NFL pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and The Beast Unleashed.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, let's tell you about Loan Pronto. We keep telling you about the Dream Home Bridge Loan. We're talking about dream seasons for hockey here and what are the possibilities. Well, the Dream Home Bridge Loan for Loan Pronto can help you get that home that you've had your eye on. You want to make a good offer for. You know there's competition for it. We see all the cranes in Nashville. There's a lot of people moving here. And so you need the tools to execute it. And that's where Loan Pronto's Dream Home Bridge Loan helps tap your home's equity in a very short amount of time to get the cash you need to make the clean offer on that new home. So with this amazing program, you can get the cash in just a matter of days, very little paperwork, usually no appraisal needed. So don't put off the dream. Call now, 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. But ask about the Dream Home Bridge Loan if you've got your eye on that dream home. Loanpronto.com, 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is happening at Genesis Diamonds. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex event featuring a stunning new selection of these hard-to-find watches. Hulks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest models that people wait years for. For this event, you can choose from 5 years financing or get a free pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond earrings valued at $5,000. Imagine a luxury pre-owned ladies Rolex Datejust for just $199 a month, or a Sea Dweller or Submariner for just $299 a month. No waiting list, no games, just the watch you want at the great Genesis value price you deserve. Also for this event, our pre-owned Rolex buyers will be offering top dollar for your Rolex, so you can buy, sell, or trade. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state. Get the timepiece of your dreams and take advantage of our special financing. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, your home for luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit while supplies last. See store for details.
Exergen thermometers are proven to be more accurate than non-contact thermometers. With children back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Clinical studies have proven that non-contact thermometers are inaccurate and can miss fevers. Accuracy matters. That's why the Exergen thermometer is trusted and used by medical professionals. Exergen thermometers are available at many fine retailers. Choose a trusted and accurate thermometer for personal use. Learn more about why accuracy matters. Available at Walgreens and participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville invites you to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month by donating to Breast Cancer in Action. BRA's mission is to empower breast cancer survivors physically and emotionally by creating inclusive communities where all can grow in strength, resilience, and joy. Find it in your heart to donate by going to info@bragroups.org. Pella Windows and Doors would also like to thank their sponsors of their Putt for Pink Customer Appreciation Event: Binks Lodge, the Nashville Predators, Apio Media, Little House Animal Hospital, Mid-10 Ford, and 102.5 The Game.
Want an inexperienced surgeon?
Okay, nurse. I'm ready for the scalpel.
How about an inexperienced airline pilot?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain, and I'm terrified.
Experience matters, and we have it.
Regal Realty Group is experienced to help you from contract to close. They know the area, understand financing, and have up-to-date property listings and comparisons. Oh, and lots of experience. Visit RegalRG.com.
Introducing Gen Y Hitch, the ultimate towing solution for the modern adventurer. Whether you're hauling a boat, RV, or heavy cargo, Gen Y Hitch is your dependable companion. With its innovative design and cutting-edge technology, it delivers unrivaled stability and safety on the road. Crafted with precision engineering and built to last, Gen Y Hitch ensures a smooth and secure towing experience. Say goodbye to the hassle of traditional hitches and embrace the future of towing. You can find our full range of products and accessories at GenYHitch.com. Upgrade to Gen Y Hitch and tow with confidence. Your journey starts here.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, a couple of Titans thoughts. TD's practice report. No Elijah Molden, no Tier Tart. Don't love that. Tier Tart still dealing with the toe. No Luke Gifford, no Aaron Brewer at practice today. Aaron Brewer was on the injury report yesterday, limited in practice with a neck, so did not see him out at practice today either. No Traylon Burks. I don't think that's a surprise. We kind of heard that from Mike Vrabel in his press conference. Probably going to leave him out until that Falcons game after the bye.
Get that extra week.
Right. Get that extra week of rest. Maybe he returned a little bit too quick. Derrick Henry was limited yesterday, non-injury related, just rest. He was back. Jeffrey Simmons also back in practice today. So that is huge. Wasn't a great...
This was one of those, like, do you want the good news or the bad news first? You gave the bad news first.
Bad news first. Yeah. Good news is Jeffrey Simmons is back.
Okay, you ended on a high note.
Perfect. It's a perfect intro for our friend Allie Milnecki, who I think
she's going to end our show on a high note like she does every Thursday.
Like she does every Thursday. Allie Milnecki of Zen Sports, appreciate you and always appreciate your betting insight every Thursday. Chiefs Broncos. Now, you have been a much better than I have been over the past couple of weeks. You picked the Bears. I thought, this girl is crazy. What do I know? I'm thinking like this is an obvious pick, but am I wrong in thinking that? Who are you taking tonight in Thursday Night Football?
I think a lot of it depends on if Travis Kelce plays or not. We know he's questionable. We know he got banged up at the end of the game against the Vikings last week, and he's obviously a huge part of that Chiefs offense. So I think that whether or not they cover the spread is a lot up to him. But Thursday nights, I always am a big fan of betting the under. It's short weeks. We know the Broncos struggle to score. So if I had a lean, I'd kind of stay away from the spread. It's a big number, and I would take the under.
I've seen over-under for Russell Wilson passing yards at a mere 200, so not a whole lot of faith in Russell Wilson and that Denver Broncos offense, which I don't blame him. Over-under there, Russell Wilson 200 passing yards.
Ooh, I'm going to have to go under on this one. I must say, when they signed Sean Payton in the offseason to coach that team, I really didn't think it would make a difference. Obviously, you look at their record and how they played so far. It hasn't, and it's a shame because they do have such talented wide receivers, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and Russell Wilson just can't seem to connect with them. So if I'm going to make a pick here, I'm going to go under because I think the Chiefs are going to dominate the time of possession. So I will take under Russell Wilson's passing yards.
What do we think, Allie, on the, we all were watching last week when the Chiefs were playing the Vikings and Kelce tweaked the injury a little bit there. Fought to come back in it. I was surprised they actually got him back in there. A little concerned with him maybe being hobbled and still some uncertainty with the other weapons that Mahomes has?
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you think of the Chiefs, they really don't have that bona fide number one wide receiver, I should say. Ever since the Tyreek Hill trade, they tried with Sky Moore drafting him. He hasn't really stepped up. Kadarius Toney, who they got from my Giants, obviously we saw game one where he just had 3 significant drops. So I think without Travis Kelce on the field, they are going to struggle to generate some passing game through the air. We all know Patrick Mahomes is great, but I could see them relying more on Isaiah Pacheco in that run game tonight.
Pacheco does seem like a guy whose stock is going up if you're looking at anytime touchdowns, I'm sure, over-under. It seems like they're leaning on him. He's taking a bigger responsibility, and he's making the most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I can thank him because he's on one of my fantasy teams, so he has been getting me the touchdowns the past few weeks. But if I were to pick any time touchdown score tonight out of both teams, I would definitely pick Pacheco to be the one.
All right, Allie, more of a big picture question for you. I looked on theathletic.com this morning, and there is an entire section dedicated to Bill Belichick's future in New England. Even Jeff Howe, longtime Patriots reporter, said, hey, Robert Kraft is not opposed to moving on from Bill Belichick. If you are Vegas and you are in Allie's sports book, what are the odds for Bill Belichick finishing the season with the New England Patriots?
Oh, boy. I don't believe all those rumors. I think Belichick is safe. You don't have that many Super Bowl rings with the team, and they let you go just like that. If anything, they'll let him finish out the year, and maybe we see him retire or anything. I just can't see Belichick ever getting fired or let go midseason. A lot of the Patriots' failure has to do with the lack of quarterback play, and Mac Jones has just regressed since they drafted him. So if anyone's going to go before the end of the year, it's Mac Jones' starting job.
Don't disagree with you there. Allie Malicki of Zen Sports, appreciate you for stopping by, and thanks for your insight.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right, thanks, Allie. It is very interesting because there's a whole lot of smoke with Bill Belichick. And where there is smoke, there is fired.
I see what you did there.
All right.
Would that be kind of like a dad joke, a little bit to end the show?
I'm filling in for D-Mase.
Okay,
I feel like
okay.
his D-Mace's spirit is with me.
I'm with you, though. They're going to ride out the storm, at least this season. I think at the end of the season, if it doesn't get much better, there will be some heavy discussions. It would be interesting if he moves on and they part ways, however the case, and he still wants to coach. Like, what would it be like him on the market? Somebody would bite.
Somebody
and
would
take
bite.
a shot at it, right?
The Jets would do something like that.
The Jets. The history of him and the Jets. Oh my gosh.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Predators in action tonight. Puck drop at 7 o'clock. Pregame at 6. Stillman and Company.